What is up, fine folks? Welcome back to the Double Tapped Podcast, episode 3. I'm Jay.
I'm Tanner.
And we are in the heat of March Madness.
Yeah.
It's great. It is actually getting hotter, so it is the heat. But we are also in the heat of the basketball scene.
Nice. Double pun.
Everyone's into that.
Yeah.
Tanner, what you been playing?
I've been playing mostly something that you mentioned last week, Rocket League.
Yeah.
I've been playing so much Rocket League. I mentioned this to you, but I've gotten the itch so much that now not only am I playing with my friends, but I'm also playing 1v1s by myself at your behest from last week. I did my placements. I was like, okay, I'll probably be like silver something. I was platinum 1.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that happened. But I do think if you're someone who enjoys Rocket League, that is a really good piece of advice, because I think I got way better really quickly being forced to just defend more and just play 1v1.
Yeah, it's a completely different strategic game when you're playing 1v1 versus like, you know, I can lean over and check my phone playing 3v3 Rumble and not feel too bad about it.
Yeah.
1v1, great way to hone your skills. I've also been, still dipping my toes into Rocket League. I'm sort of scrambling at the moment.
Okay.
Looking for my next big thing. I did just download, though, what I anticipate what I'm going to be playing for a little while, which is the PS5 upgrade of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered.
Nice.
And I'm almost tempted. So I did not get the platinum. That platinum is ridiculous.
Okay.
And I'm already thinking this might be a future topic for down the line of like ridiculous platinums.
Yeah.
But to get to level 100 in that trophy, or in that trophy set, or that game, I guess, it would take so much grinding. Weeks, maybe months of just playing a level as quick as you can, doing, what gets you the maximum XP in 2 minutes consistently, which I don't want to do.
Right.
I got to level 72 fairly organically. Okay. And those last 28 levels would just be an absolute grind, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm almost tempted to not save import from PS4 just to double pop all the trophies. I kind of just want to just get all the trophies that I can get organically.
Oh, so they're different trophies.
No, I think it's the same. List. Like it's similar to any other game where like you upload your
separate trophy list is what I should have said.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So you would get a double platinum if you were able to do that.
Not a bad thing.
If they would just patch in some more challenges that would actually level you up faster, I would 100% go for the platinum, but it does not seem like there's any plans to do that, especially with the Vicarious Visions being absorbed into Blizzard, which was a whole thing. How
much is the just standalone PS5 version? Because I know you said the upgrade's $10.
I want to say that it was $40.
Okay. So it's still around the same price.
I don't remember for sure. And if you're like me and you didn't buy the deluxe edition on PS4 or Xbox One, it is $10 to upgrade.
So if you bought the deluxe edition, you get the upgrade for free?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which for me is small potatoes. I love that game. I was happy to
and it was probably $10 extra to get the deluxe edition anyway.
Exactly. And like I'm of the mind that if there's a game that I've played a ton of, I will support it just to show my support for it.
Yeah.
Like for example, the other day, stupid how much we talk about Peggle on this podcast, but here we go. Up on the PlayStation Store, I noticed Peggle 2 Magical Masters Edition.
Yes.
Which I had not purchased.
Okay.
And it was like $3.
Right.
And then, so I was like, is this like a different, like, obviously it's the same game.
Yeah.
But then I was like, what are the chances that this has the same trophy lists again?
That would be awesome.
And then I started to Google it. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. And I just bought it anyway. Yeah. And it didn't have separate trophies. It didn't have anything that I didn't already have. Right. I already had like the DLC that would have included the two
Masters.
Extra legends. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, but in my head, I was like, here's my little Peggle 3 tax.
I love this game so much. I'm willing to give it $3. That's kind of the way I excuse, because there are a lot of games now that I own on Steam and either PlayStation or Switch or some other, like a console and PC.
Yeah.
Mostly because games go on sale for so ridiculously cheap on PC that I don't feel guilty if it's on sale on a console, because even then the combined prices I've paid are still probably less than the actual game.
Yeah.
But things like Stardew, I've bought 2 different places. I have Minecraft on like 3 different platforms. Like there are a lot of games that I have multiple places, and a lot of that is just Moonlighter is a good example. A lot of that is just me like, oh, I just really like this game. I don't feel bad for paying for it again and supporting the devs.
All right, before we get into the news, let's give a little shout out to our beverages today, because you pulled these out.
I didn't even know these.
It was a lucky snag.
I didn't even know these were in my fridge. I went to the back of my fridge because I knew there was just like assorted beer back there. And we have West 6 Cerveza, a beer that I really, really enjoy. One of my favorite West 6 beers, which is from Lexington, Kentucky.
Definitely.
And it's just a nice, smooth.
Yeah, it's their take on like the classic Mexican lager.
Yeah, it's just it's really nice, and I
great for the springtime that has washed over us in these last few weeks.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the news. We're gonna hit these news stories pretty quick because our big topic today. Oh, it's a big one.
Yeah, it's large.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run through these.
Okay.
First one I've got for you here. Reports have indicated that the next Call of Duty will be Call of Duty World War II Vanguard. Seems to be the working title.
Okay.
So it seems we're going back to World War II. Unclear whether this is like a sequel to the actual Call of Duty World War II game from a few years back. Does this intrigue you at all relative to the last few Call of Duty releases?
I think so in a way, because I think the fun that I had with Call of Duty, not this last one, but the one before it, which would have been Modern Warfare, correct? Yes. That game was so fun, and like Warzone was great in it. I know you can still play Warzone. 2v2s was great, but I had no desire to go after Cold War simply because I had spent so much time in Modern Warfare that I was just like, okay, whatever. Call of Duty now to me seems to be a either every other year purchase or when it intrigues me. And I didn't play Call of Duty World War II. You did, correct?
It was a very good installment.
Okay.
I'm a history buff, so I tend to be a fan of when they actually go deep dived into these.
I do too.
Different historical eras, and that depiction of World War II was like, it was like Saving Private Ryan levels of like immersion in terms of the story and the history. So I really respected that about it.
I'm intrigued. I would love to see if they do a Warzone in World War II. I think that'd be really interesting.
That'd be really
cool. Like storming Normandy or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this is more intriguing than them just doing another pseudo-futuristic or like modern times Call of Duty. I like
if they did a Modern Warfare 2, quote unquote, like sequel to the most recent Modern Warfare. If they actually called it Modern Warfare 2, I would boycott it just on like
it would be very confusing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very intrigued, especially my entry point into the Call of Duty franchise was World at War, which was 2009 or 2010. Is
this the one with the Eiffel Tower on the cover?
No, this is the one. The cover is like a guy in like the Pacific Theater, like an American soldier.
Gotcha. Okay.
But basically, it was like that's the introduction of like Reznov. Like you crawl out of this pit in Stalingrad and like you snipe through this level. It's one of the coolest levels in Call of Duty history for sure. And then I went back and played Call of Duty 4 and then went forward from there. But I have a soft spot for all the World War II ones because that's where I started.
Sure, yeah.
So let's move on. I'm going to let you literally 100% talk about this one because I have very little input.
Okay.
Microsoft is in talks to acquire Discord.
Right, okay. So this is... I've seen a little bit about this. I admittedly haven't read up super a lot on it because corporate takeover is a thing. This makes a lot of sense and is going to make a lot of people upset, I'm sure. Part of Discord's appeal is that it's its own company.
Right.
But the numbers that I've seen floating around, I think I saw 200 million as a number. I may be misquoting there, but I think I saw it on a tweet. So if you don't know, Discord is sort of the modern PC voice chat solution, but it also serves as hub for communities. So like, I have a Discord for stream. A lot of streamers have their own Discord where the community can chat in different channels, almost like it's sort of what forums became in a weird way, but they're just sort of smaller communities. But like Kind of Funny has a Discord and like big communities have Discords too. And so it's kind of an all-in-one purpose thing. This kind of makes sense because Discord has worked with Microsoft sort of increasingly as they've existed. There was a part of, I think during Black Friday, if you got Game Pass for 6 months or whatever it was, you also got Discord Nitro, which is like their premium service for the same amount of time and things like that. So they have paired together in the past. I would not be surprised if Microsoft wants to buy Discord to fold them into Game Pass.
Sure.
To say like, oh, you get Discord Nitro if you get Game Pass, because they're obviously trying to make PC Game Pass a thing. So that wouldn't be surprising at all. I don't think as a user we will see much of a change. I know that people are going to point to Amazon's purchase of Twitch. A lot of good and a lot of bad came out of that.
Yeah.
So it became more obviously that they were going for money, but also a lot of cool features came during that time or have come during that time. Who's to say if Amazon didn't buy them, if that would have happened anyway. But anyway, I think overall it's not anything to be super worried about. I know some people are a lot more worried about it than I am.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I think it's just kind of a corporate thing. Discord people get your money. And
let me ask you this. The functionality of Discord, I know you can do like, audio groups and that sort of thing. Can you do video as well?
Yeah.
Do you think this is potentially a bigger thing than games? Do you think this
Possibly.
is like them trying to create like a Zoom competitor?
Well, they have Microsoft Teams, and
Right.
I've seen a lot of people saying that Teams isn't great.
It's not.
And they might just use Discord's infrastructure to build that out.
Right.
But yeah, like a lot of times I've hung out with friends via face chat, especially before I had FaceTime, was just in Discord video chats.
Yeah.
And like, I know that it's just an easy way to just video chat, hang out, whatever. You can share your screen. You can watch movies with people, like, even though that's kind of frowned upon. But anyway,
Sure.
like, it has a lot of functionality. And I think the community aspect of it is pretty critical to what Discord is too. Because I think it started more as that and then sort of branched out.
Yeah.
So those two things combined, I could totally see them rolling it out to a larger audience.
Yeah, that was my instant curious reaction was like, this seems to be a low-key story, right this second, but could I see in a year if, now that work from home has obviously become more, commonplace in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Does Discord become on the level of a Zoom or people start using Discord instead of Zoom? I could really see it, especially because Zoom just came out of freaking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like
they were just the right place, right time.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. I literally did a meeting on Discord about an hour before you showed up. So I could totally see it. It's easy to use.
All right. Our next story, a Ghost of Tsushima movie is happening.
Yeah.
And the director is going to be the director of John Wick, correct?
Yeah, it's I think all 3 John Wick movies.
Right.
So I his name is escaping me, but
I'll look it up.
he was a stuntman. That's how he
I think
started.
like all of the John Wick, I know a little bit about John Wick. The production was like, it was a lot of former stuntmen sort of coming together and saying, hey, can we choreograph this really well? And obviously they have done it. I haven't seen those movies. I really want to.
I've only seen one, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I think that you encapsulated this best when the news came out, and you were just like, we'll see if this ever happens.
Yeah.
Because the Uncharted movie, by all accounts, is actually happening now.
Yeah, I think it's like wrapped production.
Yeah, I think it's in post, but that took 10 years to be made. I mean, we were talking about the Uncharted movie podcast. We're talking about that probably 7-8 years ago. So we'll see if the Ghost movie happens. I mean, Last of Us HBO show's coming. Maybe this is Sony's push to be like, our IPs are going to be more than just video games. I think it could be interesting. I think there's a legacy of, it's kind of intriguing that Ghost of Tsushima was so much inspired by Kurosawa films.
Right.
And now they're going to get their own samurai film.
Yeah.
And they can pay even more homage to Kurosawa films. I'd actually never seen a Kurosawa film until a couple of weeks ago. I watched Yojimbo, which is clearly an inspiration for Ghost of Tsushima. Like, the main character in that is very similar to Jin. Sort of the journeyman nature of the open world of just like, I'm just going to go where I'm needed kind of thing. That's the whole point of that movie. So it'll be interesting to see how much influence it derives from itself that derives from Kurosawa. But I think it could work. I mean, there aren't a lot of modern samurai films in that ilk, so I think it could be interesting.
Chad Stahelski is
I knew
the
it was
name of
some
the director.
sort of key name.
My only request would be if this movie actually gets made, I hope it's rated R. I hope it's
Yes, me too. I think it should be.
They don't need to pull any punches in terms of the violence of the movie like this. It doesn't need to be dropping F-bombs. That's sort of rated R, but it needs to be pretty, explicitly violent.
Yeah.
In order to sort of communicate the nature of, I think, that feudal Japan style samurai combat. But I'm not going to call myself excited for it just because we still have yet to be impressed by a video game movie that has come out. Really,
yeah, the track record's not great.
We'll see how the Mortal Kombat movie that's about to come out ends up.
I am higher on it than you are, but
the prospects of it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really good just popcorn action movie.
Yeah,
but I think this could be kind of the bridge between. Interestingly, this is what I said about Yojimbo, which is like it's sort of the bridge between like super action, just fun action movie and like art house drama stuff, and it would be interesting to see if they try for that fusion too.
And it's lent credibility by the fact that it is Stahelski who did John Wick and has this sort of experience with stunts and choreography behind him. It's kind of the way I felt about when the Uncharted movie was announced.
Yeah,
I didn't give it any credibility. I was like, okay, it's going to be Uncharted, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to be as good as the games. But then I was like, okay, Tom Holland,
right?
I love, so I'll give it that much credit.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like how when the Last of Us series gets announced and it's an HBO show.
Yeah,
that's instant credibility. So
and the guy who did, what's the name of the show that he did? The nuclear. Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah.
That guy is the showrunner, and he loves The Last of Us. So it's like, okay, I think they'll do at least good with that show.
We'll see how all of these things pan out.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a review on this podcast.
Definitely.
Once they drop.
All right, our last story.
Yeah.
It's close to your home.
Okay, we are in my home.
Drinkbox's new game.
Yay!
Is called Nobody Saves the World.
Yes.
And it seems to be a 2D Zelda-style action RPG.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Very much so. It's Drinkbox, if you don't know, are the studio that made Guacamelee 2, Severed, Mutant Blob Attack. Is that what it is? Or Tales of the Mutant Blob?
No, I became
some blob game.
I'm a post. Was that released later?
No. That was
pre Guacamelee. Okay.
Yeah.
I became acquainted with Drinkbox post Guacamelee.
Yes. So Guacamelee, Severed, and Guacamelee 2 are all games I've platinumed. Games that I absolutely adore. Their art styles are really unique. This game looks like it's moving a little bit of a different direction art style wise, but it definitely still has some of the personality and some of the staging of Guacamelee. I'm very intrigued because I watched the trailer for the first time yesterday, and my main takeaway was, oh, this is like Link to the Past.
Right.
It has a very Zelda vibe to it, maybe a little bit more action oriented, maybe the combat's a little bit more intense. But it definitely has that feel, and Link to the Past outside of Breath of the Wild has been my favorite Zelda I've played. So I am very excited. I trust Drinkbox. They're one of those studios now that they've not made a bad game in so long that I think it'll at least be good.
Yeah.
And I want to support them, and I'm all in.
Yeah, this is the situation where I trust Drinkbox. I'm a huge fan of the original Guacamelee. I have never finished Guacamelee 2. Still need to get back around to that. But it's one of those developers kind of similar to, who's your developer? Supergiant.
Yes.
That I know you make great games even if they're not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I'm always curious. So if this game comes out and reviews well, I trust Drinkbox. And maybe I'll see if they can reel me into this genre that typically wouldn't be my sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. Color me interested. Tanner.
Yes.
First, let me say, we teased that we were going to do a different topic.
Yes, which will be next week,
Exactly.
I assume.
We'll get back around to sort of our retro games topic. We're coming back to that. Get hype about it.
Yeah.
But Tanner came hot and heavy with this wonderful idea that we are in the heat of March Madness, as I brought up. So let's make a bracket.
Yeah.
And let's fill it out here on the podcast. And your bracket idea was the best video games of the 2010s. We're fresh off of this decade of games.
Yeah.
We are removed enough now that I don't think we're going to have much recency bias. We can look at these a little more objectively.
Sure.
And we're going to decide right here, right now, based on Metacritic scores.
Yes.
We have 68. A
Correct.
field of 68.
We did a full bracket.
We did a full NCAA tournament bracket worth of games. We're going to put it out afterwards, but we're going to fill it out right here, right now. We're going to talk them all through. And here's what we've decided. Let's say we disagree.
Yeah, which will probably happen.
For a few, it almost certainly will. We're each going to have 3 trump cards.
Yeah.
If I decide to use my trump card for a disagreement and you don't, my game moves on.
Yes.
And vice versa. If we are just completely at odds and both decide to use a trump card, then we're just going to flip a coin.
Yeah, we'll go to some form of...
I have a lucky coin in my wallet. I'll go get it if that happens. And we're going to end that at the Final Four.
Yeah. So
at the Final
no
Four,
more trump cards at the Final Four.
We will hash it out until we come to an agreement.
Yeah.
So with all that being said,
yeah, I'm gonna take you through the bracket.
Yes,
because it's an Illustrator file and I know how to use those. So first of all, we're gonna start with our 4 play-in games.
Yes.
If you're not familiar with the March Madness sort of style, there used to be 64 teams, but now they have 68. The last 8 of which play for one of the spots in the main bracket.
Yeah.
We should also say that these are based on Metacritic ratings.
Exactly.
So Jay compiled the top 68 Metacritic rated games from 2010 to 2019. This isn't including 2020. That's the start of the next decade is kind of what we decided. So,
I will also note there were remasters that were technically higher rated. Like an example, The Last of Us and The Last of Us Remastered are both 95s.
Yeah.
So I omitted The Last of Us Remastered, and there were a few other games like that. So these are almost, I think there was one little caveat, and we might have to talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
But we took out all of the games that weren't the original releases.
Sure.
So.
All right. So first up in our playing games for the 16 seed.
Oh, I'm excited.
In the Shigeru Miyamoto bracket, or quarter of the bracket. So I will show this on the video version sort of as we go. This will also be on our social as soon as this video goes live. And you can follow along at home. You can fill out if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll put out a blank version as well.
If you want to share it on Twitter or wherever, we'll put out the blank version and then probably the filled version later in the week. So first up, we have Tetris Effect against Civilization 5.
Right. So I would feel like we would disagree about this one, but it's also one of those hills that I'm absolutely not willing to die on.
Okay.
You know, I love Tetris Effect.
See, I've not played it. I do love Tetris.
Yeah. And it's sort of rhythm game Tetris.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And having barely touched Civ 5, you know, I don't know a ton about it, but I appreciate it deeply, especially as you are such a big fan of it.
I will say, of the games on this bracket, this may be the game I have the most hours in Civilization 5. I have over 200 hours. I'm not sure exactly where it's at now, but I think Civ 5 being a 16 seed, just the way Metacritic rated it, is a shame. But I will say that it's interesting because both of these come from lineage games, right?
Right.
Civilization has been a game as long as PC gaming's been a thing almost. Tetris has been a game for even longer. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing to see how they come to the forefront. I will say I think Civilization 5 is more of a statement game than Tetris Effect. I think Tetris Effect is just sort of a cool way to reintroduce Tetris to a modern audience, where Civ 5 made some really cool advances and for a little while was like the most pretty game on PC for a very short amount of time. So my vote would go with Civ 5 here.
I'm fine with Civ 5 moving forward.
So I'm just going to put a little circle around that.
Okay.
Next up for the 16 seed in the, let me find out which bracket this is in. I believe
this is the Sid Meier bracket.
I believe this is in the Sid Meier bracket. Yeah. So all of our bracket quarters are named after influential gaming people. We have MLB 11 The Show and the Clay Entertainment game Mark of the Ninja.
I was going to say, have you played Mark of the Ninja?
I've played a little bit.
I have not played it.
I've played probably the introductory 3 or 4 levels. Never got super far. I've owned it for a while.
But I also know you have a soft spot for Clay.
Yes, I have
on account of Don't Starve.
A signed Don't Starve print in my office. I will say, is this the only instance of The Show on the bracket? I can't remember.
I believe so.
So I would personally say that The Show is probably more of a thing last decade than Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's Mark of the Ninja probably has more artistic value, but I think Clay made better games, even though I don't know that Don't Starve is on here.
I believe it is.
I've basically forgotten what games are on here now, which is nice.
We have not, gone on a deep dive into the bracket because we wanted to save all of the conversation for right here, right now.
Right, which is nice too because it's been long enough since I made this that I don't really remember. My vote's for MLB 11 The Show here.
Me too.
Okay. I don't think these play-ins are going to be super contested either way, but we'll get there.
I'm more curious about, because Metacritic scores are not necessarily indicative of how great a game is to an individual person.
Sure.
So there are going to be some high seeds on here that I'm going to fight for.
Yeah. Okay. The next one in the Mabel Addis bracket. For those of you who don't know, Mabel Addis is widely recognized as the first female game developer. We have Bastion and Limbo. 2 very critically acclaimed games. One of them,
darlings.
Yeah, one of them being from my beloved Supergiant. The other being from Playdead, I believe is the developer name.
I believe so.
Who also made Inside.
Which is also on the bracket.
Yes. My vote here, I've played both of these games.
I have not played Bastion. I've played Limbo.
Okay.
But I've seen some Bastion.
What are your thoughts on Limbo?
It's interesting. It is one of those, it's just a purely artistic game. Like it almost is nothing else.
Yeah, there's very little gameplay at all.
But I love the sort of horror noir style of it.
Yes.
It is intriguing to me in that way. However, I could be sold on your guaranteed pick for Bastion pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm going to fight for Bastion here simply because I've played Limbo. I think even though I haven't played Inside seems to be sort of the more developed ideas of Limbo put into something a little bit larger scale. And Bastion, even though it's the first Supergiant game, all of their games are so different and so valid on their own. And Bastion's a game that I love, a game that convinced me to like Supergiant. I think I played Transistor first, but sort of solidified my love of Supergiant in a game style, like you said with Drinkbox earlier, that I would never play. I would never play a top-down, sort of slower paced action game like that game, and it's still great. So my vote here is for Bastion.
I'll roll with you.
Okay. And then last up in the what is the bracket here? In the Jerry Lawson bracket, who is the first game developer of color, we have Monster Hunter World and Hollow Knight.
So Monster Hunter World, a game I have not played, but I've seen a lot of as well.
Yes.
And I really respect that it's sort of like a Soulsy, actiony play style with, seems to be just ridiculously deep. Like,
yeah,
in terms of how many monsters you can fight, and the RPG elements, all that sort of thing. My vote is for Hollow Knight.
Yes, as is mine. Also, I should clarify, Jerry Lawson, the first American black game developer, just to be very, very clear. I'm not sure if he's the first American game developer of color. Yeah, I've played Monster Hunter World actually a lot more than I expected to. I got it with when my friend Koala sent over the Xbox One. She sent a copy of Monster Hunter World. And I got more into it both there and on Steam than I thought I would. I will say the game is very repetitive, and if you like that, it's great. But also, I'm kind of to the point with games now where if something's super repetitive, I'd rather just use my time somewhere else. Like once I understand it, I'm good. That's kind of what happened with Monster Hunter World. I think Hollow Knight is one of the best indie games.
It's immaculate
of the past decade, which is going to make for a very interesting 16-1 conversation. It's made by a team of literally 3 people.
Yeah, it's so impressive.
Which is incredible. A game that I've been slowly replaying as well. So my vote, as is yours, is for Hollow Knight.
Yes. We'll hash out more details about Hollow Knight as
we move on. Yeah. All right. We are going to go, for me in video editing, to the Miyamoto bracket. So now our first matchup is Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus Civilization 5.
So this is, take your beloved Outback and, put it out of its misery here. Sure. Mario Galaxy 2 is definitely going to be moving on.
Yes.
What else? What can you say?
Mario games are so well made. I've actually not played Galaxy or Galaxy 2.
I've played a little bit of both.
Because I didn't have a Wii.
It is a super unique style for a Mario game.
Like, I've seen gameplay.
It is not my favorite sort of genre of Mario, but 3D Mario in general I prefer over 2D Mario. And this is a really interesting take on 3D Mario games. Super cool setting, a lot of fun mechanics.
Yeah.
All the way in on Mario Galaxy 2.
I think if Civ 5 were maybe the first Civilization game, it might have an argument here, but I think Galaxy and Galaxy 2 and all those games are so beloved that it's hard to pick it here. So I think Super Mario Galaxy 2 moves on.
Now thinking about it, we probably should note Super Mario Galaxy 2 would be the highest rated game of the last decade.
This is the top 1 seed, correct. Yeah. So next up, going against or the next in the bracket here, we have the 8 seed Undertale and the 9 seed Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah. So I have never touched a Fire Emblem game.
Nor have I.
Closest I've ever come is I really like playing as Ike in Smash Brothers. And
so you like all the Fire Emblem characters in Smash?
Pretty much. That's actually not a meme. I really do enjoy them a lot. And I've not played Undertale. However, my vote is 100% going to Undertale. Because Undertale seems to have kind of been a cultural phenomenon among gamers.
Yeah, I think it's the closest thing that video games have to a cult classic.
Yeah.
My vote is also for Undertale. I've seen Fire Emblem gameplay. It's not really my style of game. I don't think it's yours either. It looks beautiful. I know people who have lost countless hours to that game, and I'm not saying that it's not valid and in some cases might win here, but Undertale is a cultural phenomenon. It is a meme, kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think the only downside to Undertale to me, as someone who streamed it, my first playthrough of it on stream a long time ago, the community kind of sucks. It's very similar to the Rick and Morty community where the show is pretty decent, but there's a certain type of individual that really loves it
obsessive over it
and will tell you why you're wrong if you don't like it.
A little gatekeepy.
Yes, it's a very gatekeepy community, and I think Undertale is similar. I'm not saying that everyone who loves Undertale is that way. There's just that vibe to the community sometimes. That being said, Undertale's a great game. The music's awesome. Toby Fox, the guy who made it, is an incredible talent.
And I'm always impressed by a game like that can be created by one person.
Yeah, me too. All right. So, in the next matchup, we have Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and Forza Motorsport 4. This is a 5-12 matchup.
So, Metal Gear Solid, a franchise that I have very minimal experience with. However, I did play a good amount
We're in
of
the
Metal Gear
exact
Solid
same boat
5.
here.
And I've played a fair amount of like racing. They all run together. And this is not Forza Horizon,
Right.
which is my preferred,
I would agree with
offshoot
that, yeah.
of Forza.
This is the
open
more-
world. This is the sim.
This is the more Gran Turismo-y Forza
Definitely.
game.
I love stealth action. I love, shooters, that sort of thing. So genre-wise, Metal Gear Solid 5 really spoke to me. But Lord have mercy, was it weird. Like, in Nebula, like, I don't know. It's just, the structure of the world was interesting, where you were going back and forth from Mother Base in and out of the world.
Yeah.
I just don't know anything about the lore of Metal Gear Solid 5 and some of these enemies, and that is awesome as that intro is, or you're like crawling through the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm like, still like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
My vote's going to Metal Gear,
As is mine.
but like, I have a lot of weird feelings about that game.
So Metal Gear, right now I'm playing through the Zelda series. Metal Gear is one of those series that I want to do that for at some point, just because it is so beloved and it's like video game history and all of that. I will say that at some point I kind of went like, all right, I'm good with Metal Gear Solid 5, but it has always been one of those games I'd be like, should I go back to that game? I like the gameplay of it a lot. I loved the way that you could really approach a combat scenario exactly how you wanted to. A lot of games tout like, oh, play how you want, but that game really lets you play how you want. You can go ridiculous in that game.
You can make a horse poop.
Can you really?
In Metal, yeah.
I just love the Fulton balloons that just,
Those are hilarious.
Send someone up in the air. Those are great. But yeah, Forza is Forza. It's going to be hard to differentiate as people who are not super into that scene, especially since it's Xbox exclusive. And yeah, I think both of our votes is for the 5 seed here.
Definitely.
And Metal Gear Solid 5. So next up, we have StarCraft 2 versus, as the 4 seed, versus Disco Elysium, a newer game in the 13 spot.
And I heard a lot of positive talk about Disco Elysium.
Yes.
I'm very intrigued. I haven't played it, but correct me if I'm wrong, it's the mystery sort of.
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
top down.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff from it. It looks intriguing.
I actually almost bought it the other day because it's on PlayStation now. This is a game that a lot of my friends who are PC diehards were talking about. This game's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You have to play it. And I just thought, maybe it'll come to console one day. And now it's out. And I kind of do want to do it on their
it was getting Game of the Year talk from a lot of people.
From a lot of people. This is an interesting one to me because StarCraft 2, I don't know. This isn't just StarCraft 2, right? Is this just a specific expansion?
Is the base.
Oh, this is the base game.
This is the base game.
Okay. Well then,
that was another little caveat. If something was an expansion, I didn't include it.
Right.
It had to be the base game.
So in that case, as intrigued by Disco Elysium as I am, and as way more of a game for me that it is, I think I have to vote for StarCraft 2. Simply on historical prominence. And it's just one of those games that the people who love it absolutely adore it. Sure. And I don't know, like, I would be fine with Disco Elysium taking the upset here if that's the way you're going to vote, but I think StarCraft 2 has more of a rock solid part of the decade.
I mean, I was tempted to vote Disco Elysium to piss off the nerds out there.
That's fair.
I'll go with you just because, I'm not going to. I haven't played Disco Elysium. Obviously, I can't speak too highly of it.
Yeah, if one of us had played it, we probably would have voted for it. But
yeah, I'm fine with StarCraft. And that's the last time I'm going to say that, probably.
As am I. Okay.
I love this next matchup.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is very us. At number 6, the number 6 seed, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the Nintendo Switch version of Super Smash Bros. Versus the 11 seed Halo Reach. Jay?
Okay. Halo Reach is definitely my most played Halo game.
Okay.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, probably my 3rd or 4th most played Smash game. Okay. Oddly enough. However, when you look at Smash Ultimate, you're basically looking at the amalgamation of all the Smash games put together.
Good word.
In the best package possible.
Yeah.
Reach was this, sort of odd, offshoot of the Halo franchise. It was cool, but was different. And obviously Halo is not my, I don't have a lot of emotional ties to Halo. I didn't play Halo 1, 2, or 3 extensively at all.
Right.
I have to vote for Smash personally.
This one I'm very conflicted on because, like you said, Smash Ultimate is pretty much everything you could want from a Smash game. Yeah. It has every character. It has every map. Like, that within of itself is almost like a remaster of old games meets, the newer Smash styles. But I really liked Halo Reach as a kid. I would say this is probably my second most played Halo behind Halo 3. I played a shit ton of Halo 3. That's one of those games that if I could get an hour's report on, I would love to.
Yeah.
It was just before that was a thing in games. But I think my vote is also for Smash Ultimate simply because there are better Halo games than Reach. And I think there is an argument. I'm not saying Ultimate is the best Smash game ever. That's Melee. Yes. But I think you can make the argument that it has the most features of a Smash game. And that may make it part of it. I will say, though, if we're comparing online multiplayer, Halo Reach destroys Ultimate.
Fair.
Smash Online is still terrible, and I don't know why.
All the Nintendo Online is bad.
They have not figured out the internet.
But haven't even really figured out phones. You can't really talk to somebody.
That's true. Okay, so far, not been an upset yet.
Scratch so far.
But we will, I'm sure we'll get there. Maybe not on this one, though. We have the number 3 seed, Batman Arkham City versus the 14 seed, Bayonetta.
When I say Batman Arkham City is one of my favorite games of all time, it's probably like a top 20-ish game for me.
Yeah. That's probably where I'd put it too.
Love Batman dearly. And it is the hallmark of my favorite genre, which is like open world action game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't go. I've never played Bayonetta. It's, interesting looking art style gameplay. It seems to be fast, frenetic. A lot of cool things.
Very similar to God of War, the old style of God of War. It's sort of really fast action.
Arcadey action.
Fighting huge bosses.
Isn't it kind of Devil May Cry-ish?
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, which, all due respect to those games, but that style doesn't really speak to me. Like chaining combos together in combat, that sort of thing. Not my style. Arkham City, definitely my vote here.
As is mine. I will say I have watched the full playthrough of Bayonetta. So even though I've not played it, I'm pretty familiar with that game. And I just think Bayonetta has so much style to it that against a weaker game, it probably may upset it. But Arkham City is just to right now either the best or depending on how diehard you are for Spider-Man, the second best superhero game ever.
Ooh, that's an interesting discussion.
That might be a topic some other day, but it would be my favorite. But
worth mentioning, it is heartbreaking that Spider-Man PS4 is not among this bracket.
Yeah, didn't make the cut. But yeah, Arkham City for the win there. Next up, we have the 7 seed, Inside, a game we mentioned earlier, versus number 10, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Do you want to do the caveat here?
This is the little caveat. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the Switch version of Mario Kart 8, not the original Wii U version. However, they were both, highly rated, and we just decided that this was really the proper version of this game.
We just sort of consolidated them into one entry.
And it's winning this matchup, in my opinion. Inside, all due respect to Playdead, they make really cool artistic games that have a really awesome, creepy vibe.
Yeah.
But there is no better. You could argue that Mario Kart 8 is the best party game ever made. I think that argument could be made.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially with the new prolificness of the Switch.
Yeah.
And this game has sold beyond gangbusters.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mother has played a round of Mario Kart, and just about most people these days have played a round of Mario Kart 8.
I would say I think this is my favorite. It's again going back to GameCube. It's either this or Double Dash is my favorite Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Simply because there's so much to it. There's so many maps. There's so many characters. It never feels stale.
No.
And that's a game that I've been playing since I had my Switch. It was one of the first Switch games I ever bought.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What do you think the longest someone has ever sat down and just played Mario Kart 8 straight through without stopping? I feel like that's a game where you play 2 hours of it every few weeks if you have it, something like that.
I mean, I'm sure there have been streamers who've done 24-hour streams of Mario Kart when it first came out.
You play it and you try to unlock everything, blah, blah, blah. But
it's a very short burst. I'm going to play a couple of cups and move on. My vote is for Mario Kart 2. I really love the idea of Inside, and it's a game that I've always had and wanted to do a playthrough of some point, so I'm sure I will. And I tend to love the artistic expression games. But Mario Kart 8, it just appeals to such a wide audience, and like you said, everyone's played Mario Kart, and I think most people like Mario Kart. So it's going to be our first upset of the bracket.
Not a huge one.
No, 10-7 is not a surprising upset, but there we are. All right, Jay, one that probably doesn't even need discussion. No. The number 2 seed, The Last of Us, versus number 15, FIFA 12.
Yeah.
It's funny that this worked out the way. So the way I did this bracket was Jay sent me a spreadsheet of all of the seeds of the games based on their Metacritic rating. And I just went through and did like the first 1 seed against the most bottom 16 seed, or well, that was the play-in. So the first 2 seed against the bottom 15 seed, second 2 against next to bottom. I did it that way. And this is how it ended out. It's funny that The Last of Us basically gets a bye here.
It was going to get a bye against just about anything in this first round.
But there's, I mean, no offense to FIFA, that's not our type of game.
It's FIFA.
Even like the best Madden, which is a franchise I like, or NBA 2K, a franchise I really like, would not stand a chance against The Last of Us. No. So it's just going to move on.
Definitely.
And that's that. All right. So if you're listening along and not using the video version, in the Miyamoto bracket, we have...
Oh, wait. Are we going to go all the way through this bracket?
No. I'm just
going to recap
recapping.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So cool. The round of 32 now is number 1, Super Mario Galaxy 2 against number 8, Undertale. Number 5, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain against number 4, StarCraft 2. Number 6, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate against number 3, Batman Arkham City. And number 10, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe against number 2, The Last of Us.
Those are already more intriguing matchups.
Yes. All right. Now we have the Sid Meier portion of the bracket. And we will be having Red Dead Redemption 2 against the number 16 seed, MLB 11, The Show.
And this is another bye, effectively.
Pretty much, yeah. There's similar arguments there. It's a sports game. It's an annualized franchise versus one of my favorite games of last generation.
Definitely. There'll be some... They're going to be some awesome discussions late in this bracket, though. I can already tell you.
All right. Number 8, Celeste against number 9, Super Smash Bros. Wii U.
This is a hard one for me, oddly enough, having not even played Celeste, but seen a lot of gameplay. I'm like, this is a truly awesome platformer that I've heard tells a really compelling story.
It does.
And Smash Wii U is probably my least favorite version of Smash.
Okay.
It's hard because I love every iteration of Smash, but I don't know. Where's your head at?
Celeste is winning this.
Okay.
I think pretty easily. Celeste is one of the most landmark indie games of the last generation, I think. One of the best platformers I've ever played as someone who loves that genre.
I might have to play it.
It's really, really good. And the difficulty spike is so awesome. Like, you feel so talented at that game by the end of it, and it's amazing. I think Celeste wins easily here. The soundtrack is also fucking awesome. Just a really, really good soundtrack. Okay, next up we have, no offense to Smash Wii U, but Ultimate is up there. I think it's the better Smash.
Yeah,
so.
It is.
We have number 5, Minecraft against number 12, Gears of War 3.
I'm not a Gears guy.
Nor am I.
I don't love the third person, heavy feel that those games have. Haven't played them a lot. Not an interesting thing to me. Minecraft, an absolute phenomenon.
Yeah.
Minecraft has to win.
Probably one of the most important games of the 2000s. Yeah, or ever is another way to phrase it. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this. Gears, I've played a little bit, and it is fun, but it's not my favorite type of shooter. And Minecraft is what else can you say about Minecraft? It's Minecraft. Yeah. So, all right, number 4, Divinity Original Sin 2 versus 13, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds.
Now, never played Divinity Original Sin 2.
Okay.
Never played Link Between Worlds, actually.
We're in the same boat here.
But I'm voting for A Link Between Worlds.
Which would be an upset.
I love the art style of A Link Between Worlds, just the presentation of it.
Yeah.
It's like very artistic, cartoony. I don't know. It's something I really like about it. And honestly, I couldn't tell you too much about Divinity Original Sin 2. So
I've seen very little Divinity gameplay. It looks like a very PC game, meaning like PC isn't like
not politically correct.
Yeah. And doesn't look like it's much of my style. I will say, everyone who I've mentioned that Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game outside of Breath of the Wild, they say you have to play Link Between Worlds.
Yeah.
It is sort of the spiritual successor. I also remember Andrew playing it in the dorm way back when and absolutely loving it. So for those two reasons, and again, the art style is really cool. The sort of like chalk version of Link that you have to solve puzzles with is dope. It's one of the only reasons I wish I had like some way to stream a 3DS. So with all that being said, I think Link Between Worlds pulls the upset here.
Biggest upset so far.
Yeah, 13 over a 4. Okay, number 6, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End versus number 11, Forza Horizon 3.
Yeah.
Jay.
Now, all due respect, like Forza Horizon, really fun.
They are very fun.
You know, the open world driving nature, as a legacy fan of like the old Burnout games, this has a lot more of that arcadey feel to it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate those games greatly. However, Uncharted is one of my absolute favorite franchises in media, period.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I am absolutely an Uncharted diehard. And even though Uncharted 4 is, gosh, this is a tough conversation. 2, 3, and 4 are all pretty immaculate.
You can make the argument that all of them are the best one.
Uncharted 4 definitely has the best gameplay.
Yes.
And that's, I think, inarguable.
Yeah.
So it's arguably the best in the series, so I have to go Uncharted.
As do I. I don't have too much to add. I also love Uncharted. It's a series that I came to a little bit late, but ended up absolutely adoring. And Uncharted 4 is just one of the best made games I think I've ever played.
Definitely.
It's just made so well front to back. You can have your problems with it, but it is an immaculately made game. Okay, number 3, Portal 2 versus 14 Flower.
Isn't flower? Don't you literally just blow this flower like around a field?
Yes. Flower is one of those games that I think sort of proved there was a place for your art house style games, and I think for that it is an important thing. I've played a little bit of it and it was boring, and I love artsy shit. So
it's going up against Portal 2.
And Portal 2, we sung the praises of last week. One of the best puzzle games ever made. So I think Portal 2 wins pretty easily here. There's no point in belaboring that. All right, now an interesting one, Jay. Number 7.
This is interesting.
God of War 3 versus number 10, Little Big Planet 2.
So this was before God of War got good.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I just don't love the old school God of War playstyle, the super arcadey combo combats. I don't love it.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to be said about the epicness of a game like God of War 3, where literally the opening is you are riding Gaia as she climbs Mount Olympus and you fight Poseidon.
Yeah.
Like,
those games, the scale of those games is incredible.
yeah. And just I know God of War 3 is just packed to the gills with moments like that.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of respect for it. And I never played the Little Big Planet games, but you are maybe the biggest Little Big Planet fan I've ever met.
Yeah.
So I want to see what you think about this matchup.
As someone who's played through both, I feel pretty comfortable in saying this. God of War 3 is not my favorite God of War. That's probably God of War 2. And I think this was sort of
pre-PS4 God of War.
Yeah,
right?
sorry, not I'm talking about the classic God of Wars. God of War 2018 blows the
We'll talk about
doors off of everybody else. But yes, of the classic God of Wars, 3 was sort of the last good one before the reboot, and it's really good. I'm glad it's getting love here. Little Big Planet 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Little Big Planet is one of my favorite series of all time, but specifically 2 is where everything shines the most, I think. And a huge reason as to why I'm part of the PlayStation ecosystem at all is Little Big Planet, because my friend, when I was a kid, had Little Big Planet 1, and every time I would go stay at his house, we just played it. It made me want a PS3 so bad just so I could play it. Then Little Big Planet 2 came out. I got the collector's edition, and that's the first collector's edition I ever got. I'm completely biased here, and that's okay, but I think Little Big Planet 2 made more of a statement than God of War 3 did as an existing franchise.
Yeah.
Like, Little Big Planet 2 was the game that really cemented that series and Sackboy as like a mascot for PlayStation for years to come.
Yeah. And even though my personal preference would probably be God of War 3, I'm not going to die on that hill at all in this particular situation. So I'm fine with Little Big Planet.
All right, Jay.
I was looking at this one, and this is the one where I'm ready to piss the nerds off.
We have the 2 seed Mass Effect 2 versus the 15 seed Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight wins this matchup.
I agree. I know that people are going to be pissed because people love Mass Effect.
This is a meme between us over the years of how much we dislike Mass Effect.
This has been a running joke that it does not look appealing. People on stream ask me if I'm ever going to play it, and I've been like, maybe when the remasters come out.
I will play the remasters and see if my opinion changes.
Yes.
But until said time.
I've seen streams of people playing Mass Effect. It just looks like the kind of game I would get bored of in like 10 hours. And Shovel Knight is a top 10 all-time game for me. Yeah. So sorry for the people who love Mass Effect 2, although if you talk to people, each Mass Effect is someone's favorite, but also someone's least favorite. So it's a really confusing thing.
Yeah, and I'm not like as high on Shovel Knight as you are. It's much more your kind of game than mine.
Yeah.
But in terms of paying homage to those classic, 8-bit platformers, like it just does such a good job. It's a damn fun game.
Agreed. And the soundtrack is, again, incredible.
Slaps.
All right, in the Mabel Addis... Oh, actually, sorry, to recap there for the audio listeners, we have... In the next round, we will have number 1, Red Dead Redemption 2 versus number 8, Celeste. Number 5, Minecraft against number 13, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Number 6, Uncharted 4, Thief's End versus number 3, Portal 2. Ooh. Number 10, A Little Big Planet 2 versus number 15, Shovel Knight. Oh, no.
That one's just
That's very me, yeah. All right. Next up, in the Mabel Addis portion of the bracket, we have The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild versus Bastion.
So... another one where it was a de facto buy, no matter who it went up against.
I love Bastion, but it's not the best Supergiant game. It's actually probably my least favorite Supergiant game, even though all those games are awesome. And Breath of the Wild is a game that has made me play through 4 Zelda games now.
Yeah.
Just because of how awesome it was. My line with Breath of the Wild, as it moves on here, I don't describe anything as magical. I describe that game as magical.
It is a triumph.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, Bastion, RIP. Number 8, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt versus number 9, Journey. Jay just put his thinking cap on.
This is... I don't know how I feel about this one, Tanner.
I don't either.
Because this is The Witcher 3 is another game that I'm more sour on than your average Joe.
I think I am too, simply because I played through a lot of The Witcher 3 on stream. I beat it. Really?
Yeah.
I played probably 60, 70 hours on stream. So, I mean, I played a shit ton. I could have beaten it, but I was doing side stuff. And I feel well-versed in that game enough to say the combat sucks.
It does.
It's not fun. I don't get why people like the combat of that game. Yes, the world's really cool. Some of the quests are really cool. I'm really high on Gwent. I know people aren't, but I love Gwent. I legitimately think Gwent is the best part of The Witcher 3, which I don't know what that says about the rest of the game.
And I find Geralt pretty uninteresting.
I agree. He's not a great pro tag. I like the whole, Yennefer and what is the other? Triss.
Crap. Yes.
I like that sort of dynamic. That's interesting. Journey is a legitimate contender here because I know
this
people.
Is an 8-9 matchup in terms of scores,
right?
So it's
they're
not
very
that
close.
far off.
People go either way on Journey. I understand it. It is a very artsy game, but there is a point in Journey where a realization happens that is one of the coolest realizations in video games I've ever experienced. If you know what it is, you do. And I think for that, I'd never had a moment as high of a moment as I did in Journey in Witcher 3 in my entirety of playing it. So my case here is for Journey. But I could go either way. I'm not going to die on that hill.
And you say you're right. And I know the moment that you're referring to in Journey.
Yeah.
But to me, the ending of Journey is just like, it's not like it's kind of like a religious, it is a spiritual game. Experience, the end of that game.
Yeah.
But it's also, The Witcher is still a genre of game that I adore. Like this massive explorable open world with tons of side quests.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a hard one, but I've talked too much trash over the years to not pick Journey.
Okay. All right. A big upset there. Some people are going to be very upset with us, but it made the combat more fun.
The Witcher was never going to go terribly far. It was about to go up against Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Whoever's going to lose to Breath of the Wild here. Yeah. Okay. At the 5 seed, funny enough, we have Persona 5 versus number 12, Rayman Legends.
So take the lead on this one.
Right.
I'm curious.
Okay. So, as someone who's played both, I've not finished Persona 5, but I've played enough of that game to know what it is. I played through the entirety of the first dungeon, and about half of the second dungeon, if you know how that game's divided. That was probably 40, 50 hours. Definitely enough to know what it is. I also am one of the few people who have a platinum on Rayman Legends. Mm-hmm. And it's a really interesting one. This one's actually really hard for me because I think Persona 5 is so good it made me enjoy JRPGs for a little while, and I don't really enjoy JRPGs.
I was within an inch of starting it like a week ago because it's in the PlayStation Plus collection that launched with PS5.
It is so good. The style is awesome. The characters are awesome.
It is so stylish.
The music is great. The UI design on it specifically is gorgeous. There is a cool bit of Pokemon-ness with like the sort of personas that you can get and combining them, and all of that is really, really cool. Rayman Legends is a really good game, and I mean, I got to platinum on it. I have a love-hate relationship with it by the end because I had to grind the online so much for that trophy, but the mechanics are great. I would love another game in this style. That was almost one of my announcements from last time, but I think it's possible that they do another Rayman. I will say, though, as much of a diehard for Rayman Legends as I am, I think Persona 5 is just a better game. And if you ask the average gamer, I guess, they're going to enjoy Persona 5 way more.
I've seen the fervor around Persona 5. Like, people absolutely adore that game. And as neither of these games are particularly in my sphere, I'm fine with Persona 5 moving on.
Yeah, I love you, Rayman Legends. That Black Betty level's awesome. And really cool.
I was trying to think. I knew there was a level that was set to music that I thought was really fun.
It's a fun game, but Persona 5 is really good. All right. The 4-13 matchup in the Maple Lattice bracket. We have the Bioshock Infinite at number 4 and Dark Souls 2 as a 13 seed.
This is the biggest travesty in this whole bracket.
Yeah, you were pissed about this.
Dark Souls 2 has a higher Metacritic rating than both Sekiro and Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3.
Higher than Sekiro is ridiculous.
And Dark Souls 1.
I've yet to play it.
Dark Souls 1 is like so beloved. And Dark Souls 2 is not a bad game. It's just the worst of those games.
Do you think Dark Souls 2 got such a high rating because Dark Souls 1, in the time between 1 and 2, became such a thing that people are like, oh, we have to take these Dark Souls games seriously, and we know what this is now, and now they can appreciate it?
It's possible, but I don't know how you could play those games back to back and think that Dark Souls 2 is better.
Yeah.
I really don't.
There's a certain group that really loves Dark Souls 2, but I think most people are in the same boat as you. I also adore the fuck out of Bioshock Infinite.
I do love Infinite.
So we're going to move that one on. Sorry, Dark Souls 2. FromSoft will get there.
I was going to spite Dark Souls 2 just about no matter who it went up against.
FromSoft is going to get their due later. Okay, the 6-11 matchup. This is an interesting one.
It is.
The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword at 6 versus Shadow of the Colossus at 11. Now, this is a remaster, correct?
This is the remake.
Oh, right, the remake. Sorry, not the remaster.
So a full-on remake counts.
Yeah, okay.
We allowed that.
So I'm intrigued by this one because I've not played Skyward Sword yet.
Neither.
It'll be, I guess, the last one I play because it's the closest one to Breath of the Wild as I'm working through it chronologically. I will say Skyward Sword is the one I'm most scared of. Because it's motion controlled.
Exactly.
And I know they're changing motion controls, which is awesome for the Switch version because they have to. But I don't love the look of pseudo-realistic Zeldas. That's why I'm so apprehensive to play Twilight Princess and then Skyward Sword. I know they have their own art styles, but definitely not as stylish as your Breath of the Wild's, your Wind Wakers. And I think Shadow of the Colossus is one of those games that's always been on the back burner for me that I'll play at some point. And I think the idea of it's a game that I've seen enough gameplay of that I think I'll be into it. My personal vote here is Shadow of the Colossus. I know that may be a disrespect to some people, but...
No, from what I've seen, the motion controls in Skyward Sword, I can see that game just being super clumsy in certain ways. I'm also voting for Shadow of the Colossus because, I mean, it's one of those games, and this is not the original that people, I'm not sure how people's opinions of the original versus the remake are. But it's still effectively the same game that was such a art explosion in terms of games thinking. People thinking that games could be these art pieces.
Yeah. All right, next up.
I love this matchup.
This is all you, man. We have the 3 seed Red Dead Redemption versus the number 14 seed, maybe one of the worst seeded games. Probably should have had a higher rating than it does, but number 14 seed Far Cry 3.
I love Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is a wonderful game. It is trippy and almost scary. You really get that kind of feel of, you're on this island with these, this tribe of people that are, it really truly feels like you're in danger pretty much constantly.
Yeah.
The drug trips that you go on in that game are really interesting.
That's one of my most memorable parts of this game.
It's definitely my favorite of any of the Far Cry games. That being said,
especially if you combine it with Blood Dragon, which is awesome.
But Red Dead was one of those games that absolutely just broke my brain how good it was when it first came out.
Yeah.
A truly amazing game. I prefer the Red Dead series to Grand Theft Auto personally. And this is how I like my Rockstar.
I would agree with that.
And it's kind of a coin flip for me between 1 and 2.
Actually, I don't know. I may like Grand Theft Auto more, but they're both amazing. Sorry.
I got to go with Red Dead, especially like the impactfulness. And Red Dead 1 is one of those games that's made better by its successor.
Yes.
Both because Red Dead 2 is a prequel.
Yeah.
And just the characterization you get of John Marston in Red Dead 2 makes it so much more poignant, the things that happen in Red Dead
Dutch.
1.
And like some of the
absolutely
the surrounding
the whole team.
characters, yeah.
Red Dead 1 is my pick for sure.
I couldn't agree with you more. Even though Far Cry 3 is great and would beat some other games here. Okay.
This is the one where my pick will be obvious. Your pick might not be.
So we have Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception at number 7. And as a 10 seed, we have Overwatch. Jay, I'm assuming you're siding with Uncharted 3.
Obviously. As much, I really dig Overwatch, but Uncharted 3 is, my heart tells me that Uncharted 3 is my favorite of the series. So
Uncharted 3 is also my favorite, or at least not having replayed Uncharted 4. Overwatch is fantastic. I have Overwatch Funko Pops back there. It's a game that I spent a lot of my time in and spent a lot of time with friends in. I think I'm a little bit more sour on it now than I would have been a year ago, simply because I kind of just burn out on it. And there's nothing bringing me back. I think the one detriment to Overwatch, the gameplay is so fun, but I think the one detriment is there's nothing really to play for. Like you're just playing for loot boxes, which is just random, unlike an Apex or a Rocket League where you can buy things in the store and sort of save up. I know that they do like the holiday skins that you can do, and you can buy some of the skins, but I just think the loot box driving you forward just burn out on me eventually. And as fun as Overwatch is, I think Uncharted 3 is one of the best PS3 games ever. So for that reason, I'm voting for it as well.
Yeah. Now, question: did we duplicate Portal 2?
I believe we did. Okay, let me see what I messed up here. Let me get the spreadsheet open. What did I miss?
Maybe you're just cheating. Maybe you just love Portal 2 this much.
I'm just going to put Portal 2 in there 4 times and see if you see it. Let me go to the spreadsheet here. So we have Portal 2 as a 2. Oh, no, it's not a 2 seed. That's why. Oh, this was Skyrim, I think, right?
You trying to screw me, Tanner?
I'm sorry. No. This is Super Mario Odyssey. My bad. I just misread the label. I don't know why I put... Oh, because I duplicated it over. That's why. Well, that's a pretty good one. I was wondering where Odyssey was. All right. Sorry about that. So I fixed the bracket there. So now we have, as a 2 seed, Super Mario Odyssey versus the 15 seed Spelunky.
Good, because now I have something to talk about here. I love Super Mario Odyssey.
I do too.
I've not played Spelunky. That's a genre that I'm starting to feel myself pulled towards trying. Sort of roguelite, platform.
Wait for Hades, man.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the best.
But good. Super Mario Odyssey is so fun.
I think I could honestly make the argument that it's my favorite Mario game.
I think I can make the argument.
But I can make the argument.
But I choose not to.
It's not just for nostalgia reasons, but God, I love Odyssey.
I hate that matchup. I don't want to talk about it when we come back to this.
Spelunky's great, and it's a very vital. That was a weird word to use. A very, very fun Vita game early in owning a Vita. It was one of the first indie games that I bought on Vita, and I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey is dope. All right. So in the Mabel Addis bracket, we have as the 1 seed Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild versus number 9 seed Journey. The 5 seed Persona 5 versus the 4 seed BioShock Infinite. The 11 seed Shadow of the Colossus versus the 3 seed Red Dead Redemption. And the 7 seed Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception versus the 2 seed Super Mario Odyssey. Jay is shaking his head in future disgust. All right, in the last quarter of our bracket here, the Jerry Lawson quarter of the bracket, we have obviously the hardest 1/16 matchup.
This sucks, man.
Grand Theft Auto 5 versus Hollow Knight.
This sucks.
It does.
Because we have to pick GTA 5.
I think we do. And it's terrible because you and I both love Hollow Knight. One of my best surprises with you with games ever when you were like, dude, Hollow Knight's great. And I was like, yes. He got
because
into it.
It is a Souls game. Pretty effectively, it is a Souls game.
It is, for sure.
Translated into a really wonderful gothic bug themed Metroidvania style.
The fact that all that works is incredible.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful game, incredible soundtrack. We sung the praises of it earlier.
But GTA 5
How
is
do
a
you argue
genre
against
defining,
Yeah.
like generation defining, pretty much everything defining video game.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll make the argument for it a little bit later, because I just saw what the 8-9 matchup is, and it's going to be a hard one.
Well, this one's not.
No, but the 1-8 will be. Our 8 seed Bloodborne versus our 9 seed Xenoblade.
So
This was a bye round for Bloodborne.
Yeah, definitely.
Xenoblade,
Bloodborne horribly overseeded or depending on how you look at the numbers.
Underrated, we'll say.
Definitely. One of my second favorite game of all time.
I cannot believe Bloodborne's an 8. That GTA matchup is going to be brutal. But yeah, Xenoblade is not a franchise either of us care about. And to me, it is a meme because anytime there's a Nintendo Direct and I don't know what the game is and it looks vaguely Japanese, I'm like, oh, it's Xenoblade. And half the time I'm right. So yeah, I don't even know what Xenoblade is. I just know it's Japanese and anime. All right, our 5-12 matchup, Jay. We have Mass Effect 3 as the 5 seed versus Fez.
I don't know how I feel about this one. I've played Fez.
I've also played Fez. It's fine.
Yeah. I remember thinking that it was one of my first, forays into like a really artsy little platformer. I'm pretty sure I played it on Vita.
As did I. There's a plus game there.
I have a bit of respect for Fez, and I don't have a bit of respect for Mass Effect 3, but
I think we have to give it to Mass Effect 3.
Let's appease them a little bit.
Even though that's a lot of people's least favorite. Sorry, Fez. Also, the guy who made Fez is a dick, so well documented. Okay, so our next matchup is Super Mario 3D World as the 4 seed versus Resident Evil 2 as the 13 seed. This is the remake that just came out a couple years ago. Jay, what are you feeling?
Mario, the 3D World and 3D Land are sort of to me, the black sheep of the Mario series. Like, it is 3D Mario, but it's also not. Like, you're much more restricted in those games than you are. They do a lot of creative things with it. I have not played Resident Evil. I haven't played any of the Resident Evil games. I'm not a horror game guy for the most part. So my nod is going to still go to Mario 3D World, but I'm not. My convictions are not with it like they were with Odyssey.
So I kind of think it's Resident Evil 2 for me.
Okay.
3D World looks fucking awesome. I want to play the Switch version with Bowser's Fury. I know that Donkey said that Bowser's Fury is already his game of the year.
Yeah.
Because it's like a small slice of Odyssey, basically. And I've seen gameplay of 3D World. It looks really fun. Like you said, it's sort of like the old school Mario pacing, but in a 3D landscape.
Yeah.
With, isolated levels and getting coins and things like that. But Resident Evil 2 is like a pretty landmark horror game.
Yeah.
I know that people are just so diehard about that game. And I don't know that there are a lot of 3D World diehards in the way there are a lot of Resident Evil 2 diehards. And for that reason, I think my vote's Resident Evil 2, but I don't really care either way, to be honest.
So, is one of us going to concede to the other? Or is one of us willing to break out a trump card?
I almost want to just save my trump cards for later.
Me too, but I feel like I'm willing to concede on this one because I'm willing to put my Mario eggs all in the Odyssey basket.
Sure, okay, yeah. So we'll do Resident Evil 2. I want to play 3D World, and I probably would enjoy that game more than Resident Evil 2, but I think for history's sake, it's going to be more of a thing.
So the MLB was...
Oh, yeah, there is another show. Yeah. So we have the 6 seed Rock Band 3 versus the 11 seed MLB 10 The Show.
But as what will probably be the only representation of a music game, I got to go Rock Band 3.
As do I. It was the last great music game, I think, or at least one of the last great ones. And a game I have a lot of fond memories of, singing in our buddy Hank's attic. So, and playing drums. So that's our pick. Sorry, The Show. We've already kind of said that annualized franchises are going to get the boot. And that story is going to continue because our 3-14 matchup is God of War. This is the 2018 version. It is 2018, right? That was the year? Or was it 2018?
Yes, it was 2018.
Okay. Versus NBA 2K12, the 14 seed.
This is just a picture Kratos beating up an enemy.
LeBron.
And like breaking him in half. And that's what this matchup is pretty much.
Yeah. As much as I love NBA 2K games, 2K12, not my favorite one.
God of War, just an absolute... like achievement, stunning, fun,
technically
moving.
incredible.
It's phenomenal.
Gorgeous to look at. All right. I'm sure we'll make that argument more later. Our 7-10 matchup. I'm glad that we didn't think this was going to be a short topic because we're almost done with the first round and we're an
they'll
hour
get
in.
progressively faster, but
Also progressively harder.
exactly.
For Forza Horizon 4 is our 7 seed versus Bayonetta 2, our 10 seed. Jay.
This is where I want to give Forza Horizon a little bit of love here.
Okay.
As a racing game that I really respect, and again, I'm not a fan of the fast-paced arcadey combat of the likes of Bayonetta, even though I know people, you do you. I'll do me. Yeah. I like Forza.
I also like Forza just as a representative of racing games, and the Horizon games are far more fun than the other Forza games, the motorsport games. And Bayonetta 2 looks cool, but not our type of game.
Definitely.
All right, the last matchup in the Jerry Lawson bracket, we have the 2 seed Elder Scrolls V Skyrim versus the 15 seed Trials Evolution.
No Shovel Knight happening here.
No, as Trials is fun, but Skyrim is pretty fucking great. So that is the last winner there. All right, so we have in the Jerry Lawson bracket our 1 seed GTA 5 versus our 8 seed Bloodborne. Oh no. We have Mass Effect 3 as our 5 seed versus Resident Evil 2, the 13 seed. We have Rock Band 3, the 6 seed against God of War, the 3 seed. Yikes. And Forza Horizon 4, the 7 seed against Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the 2 seed.
All right. The round of 32 is upon
So we are going to get a little bit tighter and a little bit harder here. Sex. We have, going back to the Miyamoto bracket, we have Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus Undertale.
So, Galaxy 2 I still think is a pretty clear-cut winner here. Do you have a case you're willing to make for Undertale?
I'll make the case.
Okay.
Simply because I think people sort of lump Galaxy 1 and 2 together as like a full game. I know that they're different games. I know they're both great, apparently. But Undertale, as we mentioned before, is a phenomenon. It is one of the rare franchises to sort of make something that's completely new into the mainstream from a very small beginning, a la a Minecraft. The music is incredible. I know the music's great.
It is really
2.
cool. That's one of the things that I do really dig about Undertale, having not played it, is the music.
I personally don't know that I buy the case. I think Galaxy 2 is probably the better game.
I was going to say, I asked you to play devil's advocate, but are you going to be the devil?
No.
Okay.
I think that Undertale deserves a lot of love and in another matchup might win, but I think Galaxy 2 advances here. All right. The 5-4 matchup in the Miyamoto bracket, we have Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain versus StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty.
I really care little about the outcome of this one, and I'm debating about how much I just want to appease people. Because certainly I would prefer to play the likes of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Let's just pick it.
Okay.
I think StarCraft 2 has gotten its due. People might be pissed, but Metal Gear Solid, it appeals way more to you and I, and this is our bracket, so fuck it.
Yeah. You can make your own bracket with our bracket.
Yeah.
You can fill out our bracket.
Yeah, use our bracket. Also, just the gameplay of like the moment-to-moment gameplay of Metal Gear Solid is still awesome.
I forgot my favorite part about it.
What's that?
The music you can find around in the world.
Oh, yeah, you can pick up like tracks and stuff.
Yeah, dude, that's the best part about it.
I forgot about that too.
She blinded me with science.
All right. Now a pretty hard matchup, Jay. We've got an interesting one finally.
I don't like it.
The 6 seed Super Smash Bros. Ultimate versus the 3 seed Batman Arkham City.
So this is where I'm going to first, say that I'm trying to approach this not purely with nepotism and try to think a little more objectively.
One of these is your kid.
Oh, it's so hard because as much as I love Ultimate, it still isn't, it's not Melee.
Right.
So I don't have the nostalgia directed towards Ultimate completely, even though it is the best, for all intents and purposes, Smash game, at least for like party settings. The single player, that's a different story.
Sure. And I'm sure like the fighting game purists may disagree, but
right.
But for the average person picking it up.
Arkham City, my favorite of the Arkham series for sure.
I would agree.
Oh man, this is hard. Where's your head at?
I'm going to say this. I think simply because Smash has had better entries before and Arkham has not. And arguably superhero video games in general have not.
And had not before that. Like that
Correct.
was the
This defined superhero games for years to come and probably will. I mean, I don't think we get Spider-Man playing the way it does without Arkham.
Now, here's what's weird to me, though. As much as I love Arkham City, I was sort of soured on the entire Arkham series.
Because of Knight?
Partially because of Knight, and like, I don't know, it is a little different where like, Spider-Man, you have such incredible freedom to literally just go anywhere. Arkham City is open world, but like half the map, you can't even touch the ground.
Sure.
Like, it's almost like you're going into dungeons constantly. Like you go into like the atrium, aquarium place, and you're going from like location to location, less than you're just exploring. But at the time, and the story is really great. Yeah, I'll go Arkham City.
As will I. Sorry, Smash Ultimate. You're great.
Love you.
But Arkham City reigns supreme there. Okay. Now we have a 2-10 matchup of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the 10 seed, versus The Last of Us, the 2 seed.
So this is easy for us.
Yes.
But, I mean, I'm trying to think if the case to be made for Mario Kart is just so many people play Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. But it is not...
It's not a genre-defining... Yeah, it's not one of the greatest stories in video games.
No.
It's just another Mario Kart if we want to look at it super, like, cynically. So, I think The Last of Us wins here.
Me too.
And I'm sure we're going to be saying that, but you know what? We gotta talk it through. All right, so in the Miyamoto bracket, we now have the 1 seed Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus the 5 seed Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Batman Arkham City, the 3 seed against The Last of Us, the 2 seed. That is it. That is your Sweet 16 matchup in the Miyamoto bracket. Now, moving on to the Sid Meier bracket. We have Red Dead Redemption 2 against Celeste. Oh, no.
Don't say that.
I mean, Celeste is great, dude. I hate that it's dying this early because Red Dead 2 is winning. That's all I'm saying. Celeste is fucking awesome. I will sing the praise of that game. It's probably underseeded here. But
consider that this is 68 games over the course of 10 years.
Yeah, to even make the cut is incredible. I know this because I did the 100 games of the decade of like my favorite lists a while back on YouTube when 2020 first happened. And even like I was so shocked at the games that didn't even make 100.
Mm-hmm.
I had to cut like 60 games and it was crazy. So kudos to Celeste for beating out Smash Bros. Wii U. Red Dead 2 is an actual like absolute phenomenon. I think it's better than Red Dead 1.
I wouldn't begrudge anyone for thinking that.
And it's going to move on here. Okay. The 5 seed Minecraft versus the 13 seed A Link Between Worlds.
Minecraft has to win.
Yeah. As cool as Link Between Worlds looks, it's hard to make the argument against Minecraft in that regard.
That's going to be a duel, let me tell you.
It is. All right. Jay, this is a rough one.
I knew this was coming.
The 6 seed Uncharted 4 versus the 3 seed Portal 2.
And I assume this is the first one where we're both kind of dug in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm dug in.
Yeah, you're going to say Uncharted 4 here. I think Portal 2 is just it's such a perfect game for what it was trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say that for Uncharted 4, but like some of the story beats aren't that great. The whole like brother edition is depending on who you are, you either liked it or didn't.
And I can say that I didn't like it, but that's a small blemish on an otherwise nearly perfect game.
I think Portal 2 is a perfect game for what it was trying to do. I really do. It's hard to argue against.
Okay. So now I got to think about this logically. If Uncharted wins, I'm going to be fighting for Uncharted next round as well.
Yeah.
For sure. But if Portal wins, you're going to be in just a weird conundrum between these next few games.
I mean, this is a really
you're
crappy
going to be
part
killing
of the
one of your children for sure.
I mean, I am already kind of.
So it's more like, do you want to be me versus you in the next round, or you versus you in the next round? Because I'm with Uncharted.
Dude, it's so hard because I love Uncharted 4. And if I'm just playing favorites, I may like Uncharted 4 more than Portal 2, but I just think Portal 2 is such a phenomenally made game.
But now I'm thinking about something else.
Okay.
I don't think I'm not going to spoil what my thoughts are going to be for the remainder of the bracket.
Okay.
But I will say I'm picking Uncharted 4, but I'm not going to use one of my trumps.
Oh, so it's open if I want to do it.
Yes. And we're getting fairly late in the game, so.
Yeah, we are.
Do you foresee any possibility that Portal makes it to the Final Four?
I think the argument's better for Portal than it is Uncharted. I really do. Simply to what it's going to be up against.
Yeah.
All right, I'm using it. I'm using the trump card.
Okay.
One of my trump cards has been used.
I miss you, Uncharted.
Sorry, Uncharted 4, you're great. I love you.
I'll fight for your older brother, Uncharted 3 on the other side.
That was a very hard decision, but with Uncharted 3 looming, I think there's a little bit more of an argument there. All right, this one sucks for me. We have number 10, Little Big Planet 2 versus number 15, Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, this hurts so much. Okay.
I'll just go ahead and tell you if it makes the decision at all easier for you that I'm going Shovel Knight.
Okay, I assumed you would. Look, Little Big Planet 2 is such a seminal. This really does feel like killing one of my children. It's such a seminal game to me in just the way I began reading about games. This is one of the first games I ever looked up like IGN guides for, and that would become such a huge part of my life. This is probably one of the first reasons I listened to like Podcast Beyond, which would introduce me to Greg Miller, which probably leads us to here in some roundabout way. Shovel Knight is so damn good, and I ultimately think probably if you give both of these games to your average gamer, I think Shovel Knight's going to make more of an impact than Little Big Planet 2. As much as I love Little Big Planet 2, this is really, really hard. But I think I'm trying to think of it objectively.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I haven't played Little Big Planet 2, but would you say that Shovel Knight, you could argue is like a perfect game?
Yes.
Just about.
Yeah.
Can you make that argument for Little Big Planet 2?
Maybe. But
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, the only really downside I've heard of people complaining about Little Big Planet 2 is the floatiness of the platforming. And if you're okay with that, then it's made about as immaculately. I mean, this is probably the reason Media Molecule's still a thing, is the Little Big Planet franchise.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so, but Shovel Knight is such a special game to me. I gotta go Shovel Knight here, which is weird because I love them both so much, but
think of it less as killing one of your children and only giving one of your children like a promotion.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so in the Sid Meier bracket, we have the 1 seed Red Dead 2 against the 5 seed Minecraft, and the 3 seed Portal 2 against the 15 seed, making a run here.
Cinderella.
Shovel Knight. All right. Going over to the Mabel Addis bracket again. We have Breath of the Wild, the 1 seed against Journey, the 9 seed.
Journey, you had your fun slaying The Witcher. But
yeah, there's not even too much of an argument to make here. I think Breath of the Wild is one of the most agreed upon great games ever. Unless you're just like a Zelda diehard and you don't like the style, but okay. Number 5, Persona 5 against number 4, BioShock Infinite.
So, first of all, I'm just gonna give you my cons for BioShock Infinite now.
Okay.
The level structure of Infinite is not as good as prior entries in the series. It is more shootery. It is less scary. All these things I'm saying are cons. Like, you could argue, say, oh, it's less scary. That's a good thing. Like, no, I love the creep me atmosphere of Rapture in BioShock 1 and 2. That being said, that first moment, it's one of my favorite moments in any game ever, when you get to Columbia and you're lowered down into that church and Will the Circle Be Unbroken is playing.
Yeah. I
get chills just thinking about it. I'm going BioShock Infinite.
As am I. Persona 5 is great, and we sung the praises of it earlier, but BioShock Infinite, not a game we've talked about too much because we just dunked on Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
While not the best BioShock, may be my favorite. I hold a very dear part in me because of this.
I definitely have the most conflicting feelings about it. Like, there's like such cool, like the dichotomy between the bright setting with like the weirdness of how like these hyper religious people are they're freaky to be around.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a cool game for sure.
And it was my first BioShock game and the first game I'd ever played like it. I remember very vividly staying up in my bedroom. I had a computer in my bedroom at this time, and staying up all night and finishing it and just sitting there with my mouth wide open, like, what the fuck did I just witness? BioShock Infinite for me. And I don't know. Well, I'm not going to preview too much, but great game, and I love that game a lot. Okay, we have Red Dead Redemption, the first one, the 3 seed against the 11 seed Shadow of the Colossus. Red Dead?
Definitely.
All right, moving on. I don't think there's too much of an argument.
Like I said,
there.
Red Dead's one of those games that's just it's going to be hard for anything to top Red Dead, but I'm sure that, there are certain things that could.
All right, Jay. I had my killing the children moment. We have Uncharted.
One of these is still your children. Well, I don't know. Both of them, kind of.
I'm saying for you.
I know.
We have Uncharted 3 as the 7 seed versus Super Mario Odyssey 2, or Super Mario Odyssey as the 2 seed. Sorry.
Look.
Oh, no.
I hate to say that this is not that hard for me and that I'm going Uncharted 3.
Whoa.
Only because, as much as I love Mario Odyssey, it doesn't feel as bad killing it because Super Mario 64 is still my favorite Mario game. And this is definitely like the closest approximation to Super Mario 64 that we've had since. But the set pieces in Uncharted 3, the boat.
The boat's so good.
The airplane in the desert, like the shipyard and that guitar riff that hits when you wake up in the shipyard. Like, oh my goodness. Uncharted 3 is, as a huge Indiana Jones fan and the evocative nature of like feeling like you're going on an adventure, no game maybe has got me in the feels like that more than Uncharted 3.
And you got the throwback stuff, the flashback stuff.
Young Drake, young Sully. Here's my con with it.
Yeah.
The ending of Uncharted 3, the final conflict, is basically just a quick time event.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
I mean, Uncharted 4 is kind of the same way.
Yeah, but no, it's a lot more of a fight.
Is it?
It's the sword fight. Like,
oh, that's right.
I think Uncharted 4 probably has the best like final boss. Quote unquote.
Man. Uncharted 2.
I love, dude, Lazarevich.
Lazarevich's fight's awesome.
It's cool.
I really like that fight.
Lazarevich definitely felt like the biggest, and obviously he's like this big Russian military dude. He's such a classic like action movie villain.
Yeah.
Whereas Rafe in Uncharted 4 is much more like cerebral, and he's like your friend. He betrays you, blah blah blah. But that's my only con to Uncharted 3. Really, is that QTE. But
I am so conflicted.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the harder it is, because I think Super Mario Odyssey is the reason I bought a Switch. Mm-hmm. And
me too.
I felt very justified in that reason, because it's so fucking awesome. I have a running thing now where every Thanksgiving and Christmas I take my Switch home and just chip away at getting all the moons. And it's become a really cool yearly tradition for me. But Uncharted 3 is is my favorite game and one of my favorite series. But also, you could say the same thing for Odyssey. I don't think it's my favorite, but
my nephews both have Switches now, and they both love Odyssey. Like seeing them run around and like, my oldest nephew has gotten moons that I hadn't gotten like in my save, and like seeing him uncover stuff is like really cool. Like it's a beloved game for me. It's like, but Uncharted holds a truly special place in my heart for sure.
Both of them do for me. This is so freaking hard. I think just if I'm looking at it objectively, I think I go Odyssey here. Just because it is so purely fun.
Yeah. Here's what I will give you you can do that. I was going to say I give you permission to do that, but you can do whatever you want. But I will use my trump card if you do that.
I thought you might. I'm not willing to use my trump card for Odyssey, I don't think. I'm in such a split boat in it anyway, that, not to make a boat pun because it's Uncharted 3, but all right. People might be upset about that, but you know what? It's our bracket.
That next one's going to be killing one of my children for sure.
All right. We have, in the Mabel Addis bracket now, our Sweet 16 matchups are Breath of the Wild versus BioShock Infinite. It only gets rougher, man.
Dude, this.
And Red Dead Redemption, the first one, versus Uncharted 3.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Jerry Lawson bracket now, we have the 1-8 matchup of GTA 5 and Bloodborne. Jay?
Dude. Screw capitalism. Bloodborne wins.
Yeah, I think it does. People are going to be upset, but I think GTA 5 is almost just as fun as you make it.
Sure.
Like it is a true sandbox in that regard.
It's the ultimate playground probably that's ever been released.
Yes, and it's still got such a life, and I appreciate that. But so does Bloodborne.
And I think Bloodborne has much more like creative soul than Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Like Grand Theft Auto, they're like, we're gonna put everything in the kitchen sink in this game.
Yeah.
Bloodborne is just so singularly focused on the aura and the way it tries to make you feel.
The atmosphere.
And it's just unparalleled in that regard. It's not like, would you call Bloodborne a horror game?
Kind of.
And I love that. Like, I love games that aren't explicitly horror games, but that give you that sense of dread.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I could gush about Bloodborne all day.
Me too. And I mean, Bloodborne made me literally play the Souls games, a thing that I didn't think I would ever do. So for the same reason that I said Breath of the Wild earlier, Bloodborne here. Sorry, GTA 5. Okay. It's hard to imagine, though. Well, we'll get there, I guess. But if it had been against a different one seed. Okay, so
that's true.
5-13 matchup in the matchup that we don't care about and are going to sacrifice to Bloodborne. We have Mass Effect 3 and Resident Evil 2. RE2?
Sure.
Mass Effect is not our thing.
It would have gotten absolutely annihilated by Bloodborne.
Weird matchup. 8-13 in the Sweet 16 there. All right. Oh no, oh no, Jay. Oh no. Sorry.
You talking about me killing more of my kids? Or
yeah, just moving forward, it's just gonna get really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3-6 matchup is Rock Band 3 is the 6th seed versus God of War as the 3 seed. This is God of War very easily. Sorry, Rock Band. Maps is a great song. Yeah. It's a drum pattern I remember a lot from Rock Band 1. Okay, and then last up, the last of our round of 32 matchups, we have Forza Horizon 4 as the 7 seed versus Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim as the 2 seed.
Skyrim, baby.
Skyrim all the way. Oh no.
I'm going to, I really don't know. We'll talk through it when we get there.
Yeah, okay, so the thing that Jay is freaking out about, in the Jerry Lawson bracket, we have the Bloodborne Resident Evil 2 matchup and also the God of War Elder Scrolls Skyrim matchup.
Out of those 4 games, 3 of them are maybe 3 of my top 5 games of all time. There's an argument to be made there.
You're in a rough spot, bud. All right, it's going to get rough from here on out. So, by the way, to update everyone, we've both used one of our 3 trump cards. We still have 2 rounds left before those are gone completely. In our Sweet 16 matchup, we have Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Pretty easily Mario Galaxy here, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. A game I did not expect to make it this far, to be honest. But
really?
Yeah, just because, I don't know, I feel like of the 1 seeds, it was the most at risk, but...
Well, I don't think it's going much farther.
All right, so the 2-3 matchup here, traditional scratch bracket, we have Batman Arkham City versus The Last of Us.
See, this is like killing one of your kids, except one of your kids you actually don't really like that much. This is like your older brother is clearly better than you. Like,
yeah, he's both athletic and academically way better.
You still love your younger kid.
Yeah, but he's kind of a derpy little guy. Yeah.
So,
all right, Last of Us is winning.
Yeah.
Arkham City is the derpy one, which is a fun sentence. All right. So the Elite 8 matchup in the Miyamoto bracket. Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus The Last of Us. No surprise The Last of Us made it that far, but we had to talk it through.
Oh, baby.
This is an interesting one. We have the 1 seed Red Dead Redemption 2 versus the 5 seed Minecraft.
And this is where
bracket.
We have to put our critical caps on.
Okay.
For sure.
All right.
Like, you have to bring the entire Minecraft package into this conversation.
Sure, yeah.
Because Red Dead is just beyond phenomenal in terms of the world they created, the characterization of Arthur Morgan, like, it's just breathtaking.
Yeah.
But Minecraft, you ask a layman on the street, have you heard of Red Dead Redemption 2? They'll probably say no.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Minecraft?
Yes. My grandson plays it.
Like, it's unbelievable the reach of Minecraft.
That's true. I will argue that we are debating best game. Not most popular. And in that way, Minecraft is almost hard to explain how much of a phenomenon. Like, you cannot overstate how important Minecraft is. But I will say, I think Red Dead 2, in a similar way to, like, if you were to put Parasite, the movie, against The Lion King. It's like, okay, yeah, everybody's seen The Lion King. Most people like The Lion King. Everybody has connections to The Lion King. but I think Parasite is objectively a better movie and is more important to film. I think that's what Red Dead 2 is to Minecraft, personally.
I'm trying to think if I have any legitimate critiques of Red Dead 2. What am I?
The combat, I guess some people aren't
Yeah,
huge
like,
on.
Rockstar gunplay is not like its strongest aspect. And I think you can make the argument that game's, the story is a little long.
Oh yeah, you could totally make that argument,
but in a game of that scope, there are moments when the story dips. I don't love the section of the story where you're assisting the Native American tribe.
Oh yeah,
that's where it kind of
forgot
dips.
about that part of it.
That's the thing. There's probably a lot of Red Dead that you've kind of glazed over in your head, and you only remember the highs,
the good parts. Yeah,
because there are definitely story beats in that game that are okay. Like, all right, let's just get through this.
Yeah.
God, this is hard. I'm really torn.
Minecraft, you can make the argument for very easily, and it's a game that you and I both have spent a lot of time in. Like I platinumed that game. I really like Minecraft a lot. But I just think if I'm looking objectively at the greatness of games, I mean, you could totally make the argument for Minecraft.
I think I've found what my decision, like my point here my vector that I'm going to shift one way or the other.
Right.
I think Minecraft I love and have played a ton of, but I've never gone in too deep with a lot of the minutia and like the weirder things that you can do.
Sure.
Because I've always found that stuff to be a little too complex for what I'm trying to get out of the game.
Right.
So like, and I think most people who play Minecraft are not diving in at, obviously a lot of it's younger kids. Yeah. They're not diving in deep and like trying to kill the nether dragon and like do all this crazy stuff. Some of them are.
But yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Like crafting all these weird potions and like doing all this. Like I just wanted to go in there and just play it as a pretty basic survival game. Yeah. That's what I found fun about it. Yeah, same. And like play it with a friend and like build over time like our cool house. Yeah, exactly. Survive. Yeah. So because there are a lot of aspects of that game that I'm like, I sort of say like, no thanks to. I'm gonna go Red Dead.
Okay. Yeah, Red Dead 2 wins. Minecraft, we hardly knew ye. No. Not much you can say about Minecraft. Okay.
All right, Tanner.
We have the 3 seed Portal 2 against the 15 seed Shovel Knight. It's Portal 2.
I'm going to put my enjoyment of Shovel Knight and not having played Portal 2 aside here to say Portal 2 has to win.
Yeah, Portal 2 is just, again, every argument I made for it against Uncharted 4 stands here. It's just an immaculate game and not, there's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with Shovel Knight either, but yeah. Portal 2 wins. Okay, so in the Sid Meier bracket, our Elite 8 matchup is Red Dead 2 versus Portal 2. Two sequels.
It's pretty dirty.
Yeah. In the Mabel Addis bracket now, we have Breath of the Wild against BioShock Infinite.
I don't like this one.
Listen, I love BioShock Infinite so much. That story over time has even gotten cooler to me. There are aspects of that story like the Lutece twins that I think are some of the coolest just little moments, story moments in any game I've ever played. The world, as you said, is awesome. The soundtrack is great. Sort of the alternate reality takes on some things are really fucking cool. Breath of the Wild is one of the best games I've ever played. And so for me, it's Breath of the Wild.
I'm going to agree with you. But I also want to ask this hypothetical question. Okay. Could any of the BioShock games have unseated Breath of the Wild here? Because if this were BioShock 1, I would say BioShock 1 with a bullet, personally.
For me, probably not.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I love the BioShock series. I've played all of them.
I think BioShock 1 is, we've talked about it, like, the only flaw to me is the ending. Everything else is perfect in that game.
I just don't know that Breath of the Wild has a flaw, personally, to me. It's my favorite Zelda games, and I think multiple of those games are 10s. So I don't know how else you...
Yeah. I don't know. Like, Breath of the Wild, it's such a unique game. Like, you could say that it's... You know, there are no flaws, but I think you could also argue like there's 200 of these shrines and it's like a little over bloated in certain ways. And like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I just love it a lot. And I love BioShock Infinite and BioShock 2.
Yeah. But I got my nephew Breath of the Wild this past Christmas because I thought it was the perfect game for him at his budding age of playing games. Yeah. To be like, all right, you're ready for this kind of game now. Yeah. Or it's the moment. Okay. Fallout 3.
Yes.
You emerge from the vault.
Yes.
And it's that realization that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I can only imagine being a kid and this being one of like my formative games and emerging from that cave and realizing that I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like that sense of exploration is a phenomenal thing when it comes up in any game.
Yes.
And Breath of the Wild does it about as well as any game ever has.
Yes.
So I'll ride Breath of the Wild here.
Sorry, BioShock Infinite, you're great. I mean, Breath of the Wild versus BioShock 1 would be an in-depth argument. I don't want to say that. And Infinite's probably my favorite BioShock. So.
Andrew, don't do this to me.
I'm sorry, Jay. It's part of the bracket. We have Red Dead 1 as the 3 seed versus Uncharted 3 as the 7 seed. You want me to share my thoughts first?
Yeah.
All right. Red Dead 1 is amazing. It is a very formative game for both of us, I think. One of the first, not one of the first, but one of the more serious games that I played at a younger age and really sort of understood that. I think Red Dead 2 is better than Red Dead 1. And since Red Dead 2 is still alive, and I think Uncharted is the best Uncharted, that's my argument for Uncharted 3 here.
When you say Red Dead 2 is better, is it a marginal difference or?
For me, it's pretty clear cut, but I don't have a lot of nostalgia for whatever reason for Red Dead 1. It's more just an overall appreciation of how good that game is, but I adored Red Dead 2. And maybe the added element of streaming it, I don't know if there's something there, but every moment of that game I just love to pieces. And if I were going to go back and play one, I'd definitely play 2 over 1. So
this is not good. I don't know. Cuz all these games I tend to just go back to like the moments that hit me the most in each of these games. And I touched on my favorite, set pieces in Uncharted 3. I'm going to take you to one of my favorite in Red Dead, which is you join the gang of, that's riding across into Mexico for the first time. Mm-hmm. And the realization that the map is literally twice as big as you thought it was.
You can go to Mexico, yeah.
Was just like, oh my, this game is incredible. The ginormous playground. And it's, as a history buff, riding around in the Wild West was just so cool.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this is hard.
Shout out to Tanner's Reach, which is a place.
It is. You're right. But if I'm going to gauge, my tiebreaker is going to be that Drake is just a blast to play as.
Yeah.
And even though I think, Naughty Dog, it's kind of funny, Naughty Dog versus Rockstar, 2 studios that make wonderful games, but not known for their good shooter mechanics.
Right, yeah.
And especially the earlier Uncharted's are a little stiffer and sloppier than 4. 4 really refined that formula, but it's not like you're going to say it had worse than, like a Red Dead, which is, just whatever. Yeah. That's not the focus of those games. So I'll, with a heavy heart say goodbye to Red Dead Redemption. And I'm with you that at least Red Dead 2 is still alive, so I don't feel as bad. Yeah. And I have to fight because my beloved Uncharted 4 went down.
All right. In the Mabel Addis bracket now, our Elite 8 matchup is the Breath of the Wild versus Uncharted 3. In the Jerry Lawson bracket, we have the 8 seed Bloodborne versus Resident Evil 2, the 13 seed.
Easiest matchup of this round.
Let's move Bloodborne forward. Sorry, RE2. Bloodborne is just amazing.
And now we get to what I think might be the hardest for me.
Okay, we have 2018's God of War as the 3 seed versus Elder Scrolls V Skyrim as the 2 seed.
I assume you're going to pick God of War.
You assume correctly.
You don't attach the same level of nostalgia to Skyrim as me, I know. I
attach the level of nostalgia to Skyrim that you do.
Skyrim is to me
what Fallout 3 is to me.
Yes.
So I love Skyrim. I played a shit ton of hours of it on PC and PS3 and 360. I think I played it everywhere. But God of War is a top 5 game all time for me, so it's not a hard argument for me personally.
God. This is what I think I'm gonna begrudgingly end up agreeing with you.
Okay. Make the argument though.
Skyrim to me was the formative, you emerged from the cave moment.
Right.
That was that for me. And, you emerged from that initial little dungeon that you have to go through and you come out and Alduin flies overhead, the dragon flies away, and you sort of know that it's not the last time you're seeing this dragon. And it's just go to Whiterun. And you're like, where's Whiterun?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just move through, and I don't know. It was such a it's the most I've ever dove deep into an RPG by far.
Yeah.
And I've played that game 6 or 7 times probably.
Yeah.
Completely, like, built out multiple characters. The first time I did it, I was a wood elf, which I did not realize at the time that wood elves you're supposed to be an archer, but I was all about one-handed combat.
Yeah.
I definitely catered my later characters better. But God of War is an effectively perfect video game.
Yeah.
Skyrim, you can say a ton of great accolades about it, but it is not perfect.
No.
There are technical issues. It's not as sweeping emotionally as God of War.
Sure.
Like I don't know. Skyrim is it's the great playground. God of War is just, you're being told the story they want to tell you, and it's pretty much flawless.
Yeah. I could not have said it better than you just did. I'm sure. Holy shit, I just noticed what the next matchup is, and I'm scared,
That's
Jay.
mine.
All right. God of War is moving forward. I've sung the praises of that game a lot, but...
and then you say that, and you think of games that are on the other side that these haven't even gone up against yet.
Yep.
And it's going to be brutal.
All right, so the Jerry Lawson matchup, the thing that I said Jesus Christ about, the Elite Eight matchup is Bloodborne versus God of War. Okay, back to the Miyamoto bracket. We don't have to think about it for a little bit because we have Super Mario Galaxy 2 versus The Last of Us to move on to the Final Four. So these will be this is the last round where we can use a trump card, just so you know.
Kudos Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
But again, not my favorite of the Mario games. Obviously, probably you can make an argument that it is an effectively perfect video game, but it's going up against another one.
Yes, I agree. The Last of Us, we both absolutely adore. And I like Odyssey. Even with what I've seen of Galaxy, I think I still will have liked Odyssey more. Just because I don't know if I like the motion control idea of Galaxy. So, yeah, The Last of Us wins there. It's probably the only easy one we're going to have. Because next up in the Sid Meier bracket, we have Red Dead Redemption 2 against Portal 2.
I mean, this one's relatively easy for me.
Sure.
Even though I respect Portal 2 immensely. But
I think it's pretty easy for me too.
Okay.
I love Portal 2. I've fought for it. It's the only thing I've used a trump card for. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the most special gaming experiences I've ever had. So Red Dead 2 moves on. We're fast approaching what we didn't want to, Jay. All right. Oh no, we have in the Mabel Addis form of the bracket, Breath of the Wild versus Uncharted 3.
Something tells me we're going to be flipping a coin here.
Okay.
My pick is Uncharted 3. And as much as I respect what Breath of the Wild is, and we just, I compared it. My appreciation for a game like Skyrim, I'm like, I 100% understand how people have that exact same attachment to the likes of Breath of the Wild. Yeah. And it's fun, and it's obviously, more kid-friendly and cartoony, but like, approachable is more the better way. It's a fun game for anyone. Yeah. But Uncharted 3 is just the perfect action-adventure video game, just about. And similar to the God of War comparison I just made, I'm like, Breath of the Wild is big and expansive, but Uncharted 3, you're getting what they wanted to show you, and what they wanted to show you is amazing.
To make the argument from the other side of the coin that we're inevitably going to flip,
I'm going to go get it.
Breath of the Wild is quite possibly the best Nintendo game ever made. What? At least in my opinion, it's up there. And I know that's going to be shocking if you didn't hear from the other room. Jay said, "What?" But I think it's at least in the conversation because this is the game that solidified the Switch immediately. A lot of people, I don't know if people remember this now, but people were laughing at the idea of the Switch, and then Breath of the Wild came out, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, we get it." I've never experienced some of the just feelings of absolute bliss that Breath of the Wild gave me in many other games at all, if ever. I adore this game. I love Uncharted 3 so much, and I love the Uncharted series, but I vote for Breath of the Wild, and we're both going to use our trump card. Mm-hmm. So Jay,
we might as well at this point.
Yeah, Jay, flip a coin.
All right, so just because it's the higher seed, Breath of the Wild will be heads.
Okay.
Uncharted 3 will be tails. I'm going to let it fall on the ground like
All
an
right.
NFL referee.
Yes, okay.
Here we go. It is Tails.
Oh, Uncharted 3 moves on.
I kind of feel bad because I feel like I was in the minority on this matchup. I feel.
Okay, so wait, where did we use? Hold on, I'm just gonna very quickly note. Oh, okay, so you used. Wow, Uncharted 3 is the game that won't die, because you used your trump card. J Trump.
I don't like that.
Jay's trump card. Yeah, we probably should have named it something different. I thought of that earlier.
I couldn't think of what else to call it.
I'm just gonna put that there, that you trumped there, and then we will say that this was a coin flip, just so people know.
Yeah, they understand how difficult it was.
Yes, and then my trump card was over here with Portal 2. So I'm just marking that, and now you can be thinking about, in the Jerry Lawson bracket, the Elite 8 matchup that we were both so scared of, Bloodborne versus God of War.
And it's curious because we both have the one trump card left, and I don't know whether we're going to use it.
That's true. Jay, what are you thinking?
Oh, baby.
I'm just adjusting the bracket a little bit.
Man, this is a titanic matchup.
It really is.
I think definitely the hardest matchup for me personally of this round. God of War, as I've said on past podcasts, arguably the best combat in any game ever made. I think it and Sekiro are neck and neck. And it's the fact that it has that accolade and still tells a beautiful story, develops incredible characters, and in a completely new setting, and reinvents a character that people had somewhat panned in earlier games for being boring and like one-dimensional.
One of the weaknesses of God of War before was that Kratos was boring.
And turns him into a sympathetic father figure to this, kind of little brat Atreus at times. But Bloodborne has, like I said, the most oppressive atmosphere maybe in any game ever made.
Yeah.
And just fills you with dread constantly and gives you the highest highs, not in terms of storytelling or anything, but in terms of visceral excitement through gameplay of any game I've ever played, certainly. This is an absolute crapshoot, really.
Okay, so Bloodborne games showed me the light of Souls games, and now those are some of my, or FromSoft games, I should say.
Okay.
Couldn't
tell what you were trying to say there for a second.
Those are some of my favorite games now, just to play on stream, especially. They're so fun and they're so different from everything else. They're such a good palate cleanser moving to a different game. That being said, God of War has one of my favorite video game stories ever. It is a top 3 game for me all time. Bloodborne's in my top 10, but I don't know where exactly. I love both of these games dearly, but for me, it's God of War. The visuals, the soundtrack, the acting performances, the combat, literally everything works in this game. And the directing, where the camera always stays, like, it doesn't cut. There's no cuts between the camera, is so fucking cool. It feels like they thought of literally everything with this game. And I'm not saying Bloodborne doesn't, but Bloodborne, I think the case against Bloodborne is that there are a couple boss fights that aren't great. There are a couple like areas that are just like kind of meh. I think there are downsides to Bloodborne where God of War, that's a lot harder to make the case for, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do. They really, the example people point to of God of War making every moment count is riding around the Lake of Nine in the boat.
Yes.
And listening to stories is fun. Like, it's surprisingly an enjoyable thing. What is his name?
I can't remember. It's the head. Me. He's just he's a head.
Man. But that being said, as I alluded to earlier, Bloodborne is, at this moment, and obviously these lists are nebulous and change over time, but I think in the most recent time,
Mimir.
The most recent time I reevaluated my top 10 games, Bloodborne moved up from I think top 5 to top 2. And
see, God of War's 2 for me.
Yeah.
We gotta flip a coin?
I would feel bad if my coin flip wins again.
Well, don't feel bad. That's the system we set up.
All right. We got to do it. We might as well. It kind of worked out that way. That's kind of nice.
All right. So God of War is the higher seed.
God of War is the higher
so
seed. It would be heads. Hit the chair. What's going over there? It is tails again.
Wow. J2 for 2. Oh, man.
And you can't be that mad that Bloodborne moves on.
Oh, that's a travesty that God of War is not making the final four. All right. So our final four. Wow, this looks very... This is very indicative of us and us only.
Yeah.
Our final four. The Last of Us coming out of the Miyamoto bracket. Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out of the Sid Meier bracket. Uncharted 3 somehow coming out of the Mabel Addis bracket.
I kind of feel bad.
And Bloodborne coming out of the Jerry Lawson bracket. All right, Jay. Last of Us versus Red Dead 2.
Okay.
Oh.
We should clear the air.
All right.
Like, it's well documented our love for The Last of Us.
Yes.
Man. Like, is there a chance that Red Dead can beat it?
All right. Here's the argument that I think people who would prefer Red Dead 2 would make. The Last of Us combat, some people aren't a fan of.
Sure.
That is the main gripe I've heard of that game. I guess you could argue Red Dead 2 has a larger world, right? It has... it's hard to compare those games that way. There are equal amounts of really great character moments.
Yeah, that's the impressive thing in a game like Red Dead, that it has that depth of character.
Yeah. I just think, even though it's a 2 seed, I think The Last of Us, and maybe it's just the games I stream, but is one of the games that has come up most when people have said, what is your favorite game of all time?
Yeah.
The Last of Us is one of those. And like, from people I've never met before, they're like, oh, nice to meet you. What are your favorite games? Oh, here's some of mine. The Last of Us is there.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of those talks. And Red Dead 2, I think, is a game that people are going to love more and more as we get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I just think Last of Us is a masterpiece.
I'm eagerly awaiting an enhanced next-gen version of Red Dead 2. I really want to play it again, just with a little, I'd love the frame rate to be higher. It runs on 30 on the last gen, so I played it on PS4.
Yeah.
The thing with Last of Us, and here's what I'll say. If we had not had such a ridiculous experience with The Last of Us multiplayer, other things would be a lot stronger contenders. But we have this extra level of attachment to a game that is so widely beloved.
Yes.
That it's really hard to beat it.
Yeah, The Last of Us multiplayer is amazing. I hope that they are doing the rumored multiplayer thing that they're doing. Yeah. So, Last of Us 2?
Well, not Last of Us 2. But
Last of Us as a 2 seed. My bad, Last of Us.
I would have loved to see how Last of Us 2 would have fared in this bracket, though.
As would I. All right. And the last matchup, Jay, this is all you.
It is.
We have Uncharted 3 as a 7 seed and Bloodborne as an 8 seed.
And this is, again, this is where you have 3 children. One that you don't like, one that you like, and one that you love.
Okay.
Bloodborne's the one that you love.
Yeah, I think Bloodborne gets the nod. I just think it's more culturally significant.
Yeah.
Than Uncharted 3.
Here's what, and I'll make this note.
Man, Breath of the Wild versus Bloodborne would have been a really interesting matchup.
It would have been, I think, or God of War.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
That's the thing. The 2 games that I think had legitimate chances to make it all the way have now been eliminated, on that side of the bracket, which were Breath of the Wild and God of War.
Yeah.
Which is, it's March Madness for a reason.
Upsets happen. So Bloodborne?
I'm saying Bloodborne.
Yeah, I don't think I can make the argument for Uncharted 3 against Bloodborne. All right, Jay.
We've dug our hole.
We got
to lie in it.
We are officially in the championship. Out of the left side of the bracket, we have The Last of Us. Out of the right side of the bracket, we have Bloodborne.
And, again, I feel bad because these are arguably my 2 favorite games ever made. I'm trying to make the case
for Bloodborne?
For Bloodborne. And here's what I'll say. I think the emotional highs of The Last of Us are matched by the gameplay highs of Bloodborne. Beating Father Gascoigne for the first time is akin to a really incredible, like, no spoiler, we won't spoil any of the story beats in The Last of Us, but there are moments in that are just breathtakingly emotional.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. As someone who loves both, I think there are more negatives about Bloodborne than there are The Last of Us. One of them being, and I think this should be at least addressed, that depending on who you ask, I think a lot of people say Gascoigne, a lot of people say Bloodstarved Beasts. There are moments where a lot of people have gone, I'm good, and never played it again. I was one of those people for a long time.
I was that briefly.
And so I think a game that is so difficult that people are like, nah, fuck this. I think that should be said as a knock, at least for something this large of a scale going against The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which we both will claim is our favorite game of all time. And it's hard to make the argument against, but...
And it's so cool to see, though, people playing the likes of Bloodborne who you would not expect to like it, and then they end up liking it.
Yeah,
it's
like me.
It's such an impressive game in that regard.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, and you don't understand it until it clicks with you. And that happens, I feel like, for everyone who wasn't like a Souls person.
Yeah.
And this was the entry into that franchise. The moment that it clicks, you understand why people have been begging you to play these games for so long.
Yeah. The moment where you have the bliss of beating a boss and you're just like, it's almost like a drug where you're just like,
chase that high for the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get that high multiple times throughout the game.
It
maybe peaks at that one time where, like, for Bloodborne, I think Father tends to be the big one.
Yeah.
Especially because you can't. That is the entry point to, like, once you beat him, the map really opens up and you can go multiple different directions.
Yeah.
Which is another thing about Bloodborne is, like, it feels linear for a little while until it doesn't.
Right. And then it opens up.
And it opens up considerably. Man. But I can't put it over The Last of Us. I can't.
I can't either.
The multiplayer is a cheat code for The Last of Us. I'll say that.
Yeah. The multiplayer gives it just a bit of an edge that it may not have otherwise, but.
And it's weird because in The Last of Us, like, there, I don't know what, if you had to say like a part of it, don't get too spoilery, but is there a part of The Last of Us story that is your favorite, or like you can allude to a moment, or like one of the seasons?
Yeah, I would say, that's hard to think about.
Yeah. The moment that I always come back to is the beginning. And, you realize how soul crushing that game can be emotionally pretty quick.
Oh, the beginning is incredible. I was going to say maybe the stretch when fall ends and winter begins. That full little set of moments is just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And just all of that. I really love that little part specifically.
Yeah. I don't think an objective list of these games would have come out, with these outcomes, but I think either way, this game would have been on top.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just so hard to make the argument against it. I mean, I know that we said that this is both of our favorite games of all time, but even then we still got there in the end, and that's the important thing. Well, Jay,
that was a lovely time.
It was.
And I still feel bad, but
don't feel bad. It was the system we set up.
Alas, The Last of Us crowned the best game of the 2010s by the Double Tapped podcast.
Yeah, we did it.
We'll celebrate with an extra one of these afterwards.
Yeah.
But Tanner, let's wrap things up as you're, rejiggering the bracket here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just putting the finishing touch.
I'll go ahead and give my recommendation for this week.
Okay.
Talked about, this bracket forced us to talk about the Souls games, and you chase that high from other games.
Yeah.
And you try to find the best approximation. If you want a pretty good approximation of a Souls game right now, you need that itch scratched. Mortal Shell. Have you heard of this game?
Oh, yeah, I have.
I played a little bit of this game on PS4 and put it down, and then just re-downloaded it on PS5 because they released the enhanced version. It runs at 60 frames. It's really pretty. And it has its own unique gameplay elements. Notably, it has a harden mechanic, which is...
You play as James Harden.
Exactly. And you're just splashing threes all over these medieval knights. No, any time during the game, you can harden your body, You can do it while you're attacking. You can do it if an enemy's attacking you. Like it will either protect you from them or it'll add like an extra little flair to some of your attacks.
Yeah.
And I'm very early. I just reached the first proper boss like 2 nights ago. I've only fought it once. I haven't really nailed down exactly like how similar it is to the Souls games. Like I don't know, like I don't quite understand the checkpoint system yet, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But it's really pretty. The combat is a good approximation. So if you're needing that itch scratch, you can hop in this journey with me and we'll see just how good it is. But
nice.
So far from what I've seen from other people, it seems to be a well-respected Souls clone. So I'm curious to see how much better it gets.
Hell yeah. My recommend is going to be based on, so PlayStation right now is doing a play at home thing where you can download a bunch of games for free, not PlayStation Plus related. If you own a PlayStation, you can download them. And my recommend is going to be The Witness, because that is one of my favorite puzzle games ever. One of my favorite platinums I ever got, because you had to do randomly generated witness puzzles and it felt awesome to finish that. The story elements are weird and they don't really matter, but just from a pure puzzle standpoint, the game is really pretty.
It is.
And I love the way those puzzles are set up. I would love more games in that ilk. So yeah, if you have a PlayStation, you can get it for free. It goes on sale on PC a lot. Gorgeous game. It's made by Jonathan Blow, the guy who made Braid, if you know that game. Very creative mind, and I love the art style, and I just love that game. So.
Yeah, I played it. Like, it's not my style of game, and it's interesting. That's the thing I can say about it. Like, and it's super creative.
Yeah.
But hard. It's hard.
Yeah, that puzzle style is difficult. But once you get good at it, you feel
I might have to play it again.
It's really good. And there's a lot of cool things to look for in the environment and stuff too. Keep an eye for that. Well,
that's going to do it for us this week. We will cash in on our retro teases next time around. But until then, we're tapping out.